Hey, everybody. I'm behind the difficult research curtain. You got to look behind the curtain every now and then. Actually, always look behind the curtain. You never know. You never know who's pulling the puppet strings, right? How are you guys doing? Oh, let me get situated, right? Okay. Hey. No portal time today, I hope. Please. Please, no portal time today. Hey, guys. Hey, Sonia. How are you? Hey, Beach Bum, what's up? And Hope Grace, how are you, my lady? That was kind of silly, huh? Hey, Donna. Donna's got coffee tonight. I told her to send some this way. Everybody fill up your cups, right? Y'all, I mean, this just was like, okay. I was watching Wordwise, okay? Let me pull her thing out, that way I can at least read off of it. I always sound so silly when I read these things or when I talk about these things without reading anything. But, so she posted a video, of course, she's read all of Chad Daybell's books, so we didn't have to, thank God, but not only does she read the books, she also it's like she's able to psychoanalyze. I know she's not a psychiatrist, she doesn't have any kind of degrees in that area or law degrees in that area. No mental health, no, I mean, this is what she does for, a living, and, she's really good at it. She just, analyzes books. I forget which genre. It's either fiction or science fiction, maybe it's both. Well, obviously, right? Although it feels a lot like sci-fi, a lot of days, but she has broken these down to where it's like and along the way, Kit is her name. She's with Wordwise. If you haven't subscribed, I left her link in the description box, whenever I scheduled. I'm surprised. Usually, I don't ever even think that far ahead, but and I just put it in the chat too. Um, yeah, it's it. And let me get back there. So this time she did The High Priestess of Toxic Positivity, which is Melanie Gibb's book. Okay. And now that's something I never was just like, oh, I have got to put my hands on that. I've always wanted to, I guess, know what's in the book. Did I ever want to read the book? No, I've read so much stuff over the years. Like I'm just like, if I have to, I will. But I'm just glad she took one for the team. She's just very supportive too. It's nice to have people like her, like Kit. Um, I don't know. She's just sincere, genuine, and it's you can tell her heart's in it too. And so, I'm about to cry. It makes all the difference in the world to know that there are people out there like her who and her, that just want to pitch in where they can in that sense, and whether it's spreading light and knowledge, as Lori would call it, so to speak, it really does help. So, I'm gonna play, I don't wanna play all, I mean, there are quite a few things that she gleaned from Melanie Gibb's not interview, her book review. And, some things I had never caught before, and I was like, "Wow." But anyway, so, her description on the video on Melanie Gibb's book review, where she reads it, and it's really cool how she does it. And it says, in 2018, Melanie Gibb introduced her new best friend, Lori Vallow, to an LDS visionary, named Chad Daybell, and a cult was born. In this video, I'll dig through Melanie's sloppy but sincere self-published spiritual advice book, Feel the Fire. Boy, isn't that such a popular, like, title for all the things? Podcast, book, and talk about why I believe she didn't make any effort to save the lives of Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Tammy Douglas Daybell. And so let's see. She has her email is wordwisevideos@gmail.com. Reddit is wordwisekit. Blog is wordwisevideos.wordpress.com. Okay, so I'll copy and paste that too. And so I'll put that in the chat too. And then I'll share my screen so you don't have to look at my mug all day, all night, whatever, wherever you are. Okay, let's see. I'll put that in the chat too. Okay, they're not links, but you'll have the words like this. See? Okay. So glad you guys are here. I don't know if you guys got to catch, Colby's video too. I mean, I was just like, "Oh my god," where there was a message that he had, and I get it. I get it. I get it. Y'all, I have not deleted one single message from my phone, although I've changed phones. I just got a new one this week, but I've not deleted one single chat or anything because I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I've held them all, and so it's very easy for me to see how Colby just kind of forgot about it. There's kind of been a far more important things that have happened that put that sucker way in the back seat. But Chad Daybell had left Colby a voicemail, and it was super gross, super cringe. It seemed like, "Hey, Jerry, Pade, or Uncle Jerry, how are you? They got the bitch. We got you. What's up? Wanna come up? Wanna come up? Wanna come up? Come up, or put Aunt Melanie on. Put somebody on. You're welcome to come. Yeah, you don't even have to ask. Just be like, "Hey, I'm going live with you," and I'll be like, "Okay." Mm. How are you doing? You did watch it? Okay, so y'all did get to see Kit's video or Colby's or both? Um, yeah, Donna loves Uncle Jerry. I mean, for real, I've got, like, a clip I have clips of you that I was putting together. Sorry, gotta do the I gotta clear my throat, Damn Vallow throat clearing gene, I got it. Anyways, do you have an Uncle Jerry? Do you have the It's so annoying, by the way. You saw Colby's? Okay. Let me see if I'll have a sound clip of it, just to make you feel at home. That's how we roll. Yep, here it is. Oh, it's only 12 seconds though, so I don't have them all together then. But here, this is Uncle Jerry.
What are your thoughts about Chad Daybell? Motherfucker's gonna rot in prison too. She ain't crazy. That knew exactly what she was doing.
My Uncle Jerry, y'all. And then they got the bitch, just to bring it round third base, we're about to bring it home. What do you feel, Uncle Jerry, about Laura Horror representing herself? Right? It's crazy. That ish is crazy. And just not not cuckoo not that kind of crazy, not like "Meh." She is like psycho. Psycho crazy. Psycho crazy. Yeah. Makes me feel real all kinds of normals, Totally. I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. You can't wait? Awesome. I'm glad to hear that." It bothered me. It did. It bothered me. It pissed me off. Just because I was like, "Oh my god, she has nothing to freaking lose. Nothing to lose. This bitch is just like, oh well." And I just feel like that's like giving her ammunition to just hurt you. Not that she can. I'm not saying I'm not scared of her. I don't think that you are. I don't think nobody in our family is. I think we would just squat her, just with our eyes if we felt like it, if we felt like wasting our time. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, her doing it is just like, you bitch. Like, how Gross. How freaking gross and petty are we? And that by we, I mean Lori. Straight up. Yeah, she's the cray cray you can't fix. Don't want to either. You just wanna go send her off on the island. Just go put her over there in her own little island without just put her in sweats though. Or not. I don't know. Just whatever, let the crabs get her. You know? Donna says she won't make it through the prosecution part to get to the defense part, right? Some people are saying that, she'll like grandstand. She'll be like trying to use whatever, the stage, I guess, limelight, I guess, I don't know, to, preach at the pulpit. Mormons, stop doing this to your ladies, okay? It makes them really repressed, and they're like a busted can of biscuits when they freaking pop, and then we're all over here wiping goo off of our faces, okay? Alright? We're wiping the goo, and you're just over there, saving all your billions and trillions of dollars for the second coming of Jesus Christ. What the hell? It don't make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, please. I hope she dares call me to the stand. I hope the hell she does too. Oh my god. Holy crap. I didn't even think about that. Ooh. Oh, I do. Okay, now I feel better. I feel better. Mom's like, she's full of glee. I'm just like, I don't understand that yet. I have to go through the emotions. I don't feel things right away. Like I have to sit there and process them. But I don't like I don't people are like, "Hey, how do you feel?" And I'm like, what's everybody else doing?" But like I have to think about it. It has to like kind of soak in. And then I'm like, "Oh, okay." I kind of put my feelers out, I guess. I don't know because I'm not a damn expert. We should be by the time this damn thing ends, right? I can't wait till she fades into the bushes. Like, there's this no, Homer Simpson, cartoon, I don't know which a skit, a clip where he just sinks into the bushes. And I hope she just fades. I can't wait till she fades into the shadows where that hooker lurks, okay? Go back to where she came from. Mhm. It would not be good if accidentally kind of jumped over the stand, beat her ass. Well, hey, we have bail money. We will get you out, Uncle Jerry. Got the bitch. We will have our shirts ready. You know, I need to send you a mug with your own. I got the bitch cartoon dude on it. Yeah, we do have it. Don't mess with me. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here though. And if mom says, "Too bad she can't be like Warren Jeffs and just stay silent." She it's just like me. I should have never put on a pair of yoga pants. Here I am. Okay. All right, here we are. I'm just saying, like, just because you can do something, it doesn't mean that you should. It's like just because you can put on a pair of yoga pants or you can uh smoke 80 packs of cigarettes a day or drive drunk or whatever, fill it in, or be a religious zealot and spend all your time in a damn temple or whatever. It doesn't mean that you should. Okay. Everything in moderation. All right. I'm firm in the moderation. I'm with Kit on this. She was like, "I am extreme in the moderation." I was like, "No kidding, huh?" Because we even see that water, too much of anything is not good. It would not I already got that. Alright, well, it was worth putting it up there again. I got you. I got you, Nonk. She must bust out the whole Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith. I've been trying to come up with a damn name. We need like, how she likes to be an advocate, right? She's all about, "I'm an advocate and I need a victim's advocate." She's all about advocating for herself, right? We know she's very self-promoting, self-righteous. She's all kinds of self-centered, just all those things. And whoa. Oh, I was like, whoa. See, Uncle Jerry? Hey, wait, you gotta look at this first. I love you too. Uh-oh. See, I didn't draw though. Just they got the bitch. Justice for JJ Tylee Charles. All right. I guess 12 Cokes a day. Yeah, me neither. Okay. Yeah, me neither. Mine's Dr. Pepper. Now I'm being like Lori and Melanie and them. Never. You aren't either. I love you too, Uncle Jerry and Aunt Melanie and everybody. Just, I'm so glad you stopped by. You're more than welcome here anytime. Would love to have you. Would love to hear some stories about you growing up with all your brothers and sisters, if you know what I mean. Good stories about Uncle Charles or whatever, or mom, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Would love to hear some. Anytime, anytime. Nope, not Lori. She's staying quiet isn't in her vocabulary. No, she don't even know how to spell it. Silent and listen have the same letters. You just rearrange them, you know? Then you actually have to follow the directions. Yeah. Donna says, "Yes, we need an Uncle Jerry night." Oh, yeah. Yes. I'll bleep you out. I will. Not really. No, we'll just be like, "Okay, it's set to no kids, okay?" Earmuffs. I don't know. But yeah, we do. We don't tell us we don't want to, okay? That's like saying I can't do something. Tell me I can't do something, and I will show you. Mom, it took her a long time. She told me that, like, I'd say within the last 6 years, for sure. She's like, "Oh, no. If I tell you not to do it, or if I advise you not to do it, then you'll do it." I'm like, "Alright, you finally catching on, okay?" Right? Anyways, runs in the blood, I do say. Anyway, so yeah. So watching Kit, I love you. Watching Kit, y'all, I I mean, of course, I've gleaned so much over just what she's pulled out of Chad Daybell's horrible, horrible juvenile writing, right? His books. I was listening to Denise Rainey, who had read his blog post, in the very beginning. I went back and I just kind of make my rounds. Good night, Uncle Jerry. Love you. Love always wins. Okay. Oh, Donna says, at my brother's funeral, his friend said he did not have many stories where they did not go to jail or get hurt. That's the best kind, man. It's the best kind. If you didn't get hurt, nobody ever got no good story ever started with salad. Well, I beg to differ, I'm sure somebody has one. Anyways, not me, I can't remember. Right? Okay. Excuse me. Damn Dr. Peppers, I need to drink water. Night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Hey, Jeff, how are you? There's folklore and then there's folk in the head lore. Lori. That's good. I fork and get it. Uh-huh. That's all I had. Yours is original. Mine's not. Anyways. The only thing speaking of forks, the only thing that I hope is hugging her at night or spooning her. We'll just say I hope Big Bertha is spooning her at night, doing her hair, like just, which way you want to wear your hair, Laura Whore? Mm-hmm. Freaking core whore. She is straight up core whore, y'all. I was like, oh, who the hell's core whore? And then you find out it's Antichrist, and you're like, ah, okay. Well, I've never seen Lori and the Antichrist in the same room together, so it makes sense, you know? Anyways. But anyway, so this is Kit, and again, she's the one I was telling you about where she read, Melanie Gibb's awesome book, right? I lie. And it looks like she painted her or, sketched her too, um, which is pretty cool, you know? I've sketched some stuff too. I didn't even know I could sketch. I've while Chad was in court, it was like way in the very beginning of all this, and I was like, "Holy crap! I didn't know I could do that." It's amazing. Okay. Oh, and then one thing that is steady throughout this entire thing, which I mean, I think a lot of us already know this, is that Melanie Gibb contradicts herself sometimes in the same sentence, straight up. It just I don't know. It just she don't She's the queen of double speak. I don't know how else to explain it. However, now, okay, so I put her link is down in the description box. It's also in the chat, and I'll put it again in a little bit. But I'm gonna play this part right here. This part, I was like, "Oh my god, Jason, did you hear that?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't know." He's like, he was just like, rewind it. So I did, and ah, anyway, so Lori, not only is there this part right here that Melanie writes about Lori, okay, and her mighty change of heart, and there's something else that's I don't know if everybody's catching it, and I still have to even go corroborate that to even see, but you'll catch it if you know, you know. But, she speaks about Lori right here, just a little blurb, I guess, but Lori also wrote a foreword in Melanie Gibb's book that came out 8 days before no, 8 days was it after? 8 days after Tyler's last day on earth. And so I want to say within a week before JJ. So right slap dab in the middle of both of the children being eliminated off this planet. Um Melanie Gibb is self-publishing this Feel the Fire book, which to me, you guys know how I feel about this. You know that, or a lot of you know that I believe this is more of a secret society. I don't think it's really the defined cult that, people have mostly said. That's just me though. I believe, of course, I've been working on Julie Rowe's video, which I said I was going to publish, but I've been like weaving in Avow, um, Tom Harrison, Tim Ballard, the couples ruse tactic, which, I mean, it's called the couples ruse because Tim Ballard named it the couples ruse. But in this story, in Lori and Chad's story, it's I think we were married before in a previous life. Okay, well, that's the couples ruse. Okay. I mean, there's this op that went on an op with Tim Ballard who even received a new name, okay? One of those old Mayflower names again, and I'm just like, "Get the F out of here. You can't make this shit up." It is straight up bizarro, and it's so unique. It's like a signature, and nobody can forge the signature except for the LDS church branch of these people, which, I mean, if it's true, we'll never know. Did M. Russell Ballard, the prophet, the prophetic man, one of them in that hierarchy, he goes and shakes hands with the Pope. Okay, straight up. There's pictures with him and Bill Clinton. There's pictures with M. Russell Ballard with John Huntsman. There's pictures of M. Russell Ballard with President Bush. There's some shady character connections. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm not political. Trust me, miss me with that. I'm not political, but I'm just like, birds of a feather flock together. I'm just saying, if you're hanging out at Diddy's house and you're just going to the regular parties, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can just let you, babysit my children or anything. I don't think so. I'm just not there. But I'm not judging. I'm just saying I'm going to be very cautious, just like I would not let Melanie Gibb or Zalima or any of these hookers be around my children or any children for that matter. But they are, and that's scary all in and of itself. All right, I'm going to shut up and play this, okay? The couple's ruse allegedly goes back to M. Russell Ballard. He sanctioned it allegedly. And that would be through Tom Harrison. That would be through Tim Ballard. That would be through, Julie Rowe and Chad. Julie Rowe and Chad Daybell were meeting with Tom Harrison in the Salt Lake City office where he was teaching them how to portal, aka remote view, aka obviously do some weird culty shit. And so much so that they're like, "Oh, I don't have it." Oh yeah, I do. I got both copies. And Kit's reading this. Kit's reading this. Okay. But there's like a secret language in here, y'all. I swear to God. I've look how the times I've marked these things. Oh, y'all probably can't see because I have my little thing on. But Anyway, so yeah, Kit's gonna be reading this, and I can't wait to get her take because I can't ever get through it, and she's doing it for us, so we don't have to. So please go support her. Okay. Really appreciate you. I forgot. Okay, so yeah, Tom Harrison. Anyways, all right, let me just play because I'm veering off way bad. All right, I'm just gonna start here.
She comes back to this idea that she didn't know any better repeatedly. And the idea that she's responsible for her behavior as an adult is this huge revelation. The idea that her thoughts might influence her perceptions is shocking to her. She
After
really
this
comes off as naive here. Before the chapter ends, there's one other story worth reading.
bomb.
We have to learn to forgive no matter how hard. My good friend Lori had two little children who were being R-worded by her husband, their dad. After leaving him and fighting for custody for years, the Lord inspired her to forgive him. Can you imagine that conversation with the Spirit? Really, she thought. No way. The Lord changed her heart after going to the temple each week and reading and praying a lot. She was also baptized with fire, and her heart was healed and changed forever. She decided to accept the Spirit telling her to forgive him. As hard as it was, she asked him if they could meet, and she said, I forgive you, and I hope you can forgive me for my part. She felt free, as if a burden was lifted. The Lord took it all away. She stands today as a witness as well that Christ can change you. She is a sure witness of his divine grace.
Y'all, did you catch it? Please. I'm gonna go read the transcript right here because it's right here. There's a few things. Oh, let me make sure I'm not muted. Okay, I'm not. All right. So, all right. Right here where it says, making my heart pound, it pisses me off because all I'm saying is my grandmother, my mom's mom, which was Charles's mom, which was Jerry's mom, okay, my maternal grandmother, she died March 17th of 2018. Uncle Charles flew into Lake Charles to attend her funeral by himself without Lori. Lori was behind wherever, I guess that was Arizona, right? Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. 2018, March 17th. Joe Ryan was found dead April 5th, 2018, in bed at his Gilbert home, according to a report from the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's Office. His cause of death was sclerotic, oh my gosh, don't get me on, cardiovascular disease, the office said. Ryan was Tylee's father. More than 10 years before the death, Ryan was attacked by Cox in Austin, Texas, after a supervised visit with Tylee. Cox tased Ryan, then threatened to kill him, according to court records. Most of you know all this. Just kind of putting this out there. Another thing I read last night in all my papers, okay, when I see something in my phone, even I'll jot it down. So it kind of goes to my memory, kind of. But Zalema, whenever she went to Rexburg right before Melanie Gibb in September of 2018, right? Zalema went up there to Rexburg and she supposedly asked Lori, but I believe it now. I believe it now. She supposedly asked Lori where Tylee was, and she shushed her basically and said that she had to be free. I was like, okay, just hold on. We'll recap on this. We'll group it all together. And then she asked her again or something along those lines. And basically, Lori puts her hand up and is just like, shh, you know, doesn't count for me, basically. But I mean, okay. All I'm saying is this just something's not right here. Do I think my uncle had anything to do with it? I don't. I really don't think my uncle would do anything to harm another's life ever. I don't care who you are. Um, but with him being out of town at that very specific window of time, and then the advanced decomposition that Joe Ryan was found in his apartment April 5th. So the 17th, I don't know when, I doubt Uncle Charles got here the day my grandma died, but I really don't know. These are loose, right? Until I can nail that down a little more. But let me just repeat what this said, even though she says it so much better. Okay. Okay, she says right here, the chapter ends there. There's one other story worth reading. We have to learn to forgive. N no matter how no no matter how hard. My good friend Lori had 2 little children who were being R-worded by her husband, their dad. After leaving him and fighting for custody for years, the Lord inspired Lori, basically, to forgive him. Can you imagine that conversation? Melanie says. Can you imagine that conversation with the spirit? Really? She thought, no way. The Lord changed her heart. That goes in that whole Hallelujah song about, I want to say, now don't nail me down to this either, because that's the thing I didn't like go and check for sure. But the song that Lori sang to Alex Cox or whatever about Alex Cox, where she mentions Mike Stroud, where she mentions Julie Rowe. It started out with Julie Rowe. Don't get me singing. And anyways, and so this is just one of those culty words that they say, kind of like rise up, the Constitution's hanging by a thread, the second coming, da 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 da. We're ushering it in. All those little code words. This is the secret society, okay, that Tim Ballard belongs in, that all these Mormons over here. I'm kind of wondering, I actually wrote a question today. What is the difference in an accelerationalist and a prepper? Like I will prep. There's a lot of you who will have extra things because you're not dumb. Like it's not excessive or whatever. Not like Braxton, Lori's cousin, or Lori Megan's cousin, poor thing. Anyways, but we're not like urging and wanting and hoping and trying to usher in this so-called second coming, which a lot of you have heard me say this over and over again. I don't know if everybody thinks the way that I do. I don't know if y'all just let me basically just yell it down a hallway or something. You're like, okay, she got it out of her system for the day. But I mean, when they say they're ushering in the second coming of Jesus Christ, or they're saving trillions of dollars or billions of dollars for the second coming of Jesus Christ, or what have you, this really means, in my opinion, these people are ushering in a one world government. Okay. And that's where I'll leave it. Call it conspiratorial. It's just conspiratorial for now. But anyway, so, all right. But yeah, does anybody know the difference in an accelerationalist? Somebody, who's a prepper. I don't know. I have to go look at the criteria, but it's just interesting to me. I don't want to give preppers a bad name either. Nobody should. These people are Satanists, straight up. This is what they do. They invert everything. So this is like in plain sight to me. This Melanie Gibb writing about it is kind of like that blackmail stuff. Anybody who's following the Sean Puffy Combs, Diddy, whatever case, the human trafficking. I gotta say it, human trafficking. Jason said the other day, he was like, "Ruh-roh, raggy," and I was like, "Shut up." Anyways, I thought that was funny too. Human trafficking. Ruh-roh, raggy. But yeah, thanks for the membership. Hey, Mormon True Crime. What's up? What's your theory? What you got? Jesus, he wouldn't need money. Straight up. He don't want your money and my money. There is no call out, y'all. Okay. LDS people, and I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at these people, but people who genuinely just really bought into this, I don't. I'm not sitting here judging you. I'm not. As long as you're not like them, you're like them. You're putting yourself out there. That's all I'm saying. Free game, but don't align with these people. They're not going uh anywhere good. I'll tell you that. They're going straight to hell in a handbasket. Religious accelerationalism, that's good. Yeah, Jesus don't need damn money. Liberated North Star. Doomsday prepping is a different animal. It is, right? Have you seen Mormon True Crime? Have you seen Lori's cousin Braxton on Hidden True Crime? It's an interview she did, Lauren did, and she like asked him about Visions of Glory, and he's like, "Yeah, it's great." Or I forget what he said exactly, but it's alarming. And he was on like the Doomsday Prepper show, and I mean, whatever. So was Paul Hutchinson though, and I'm just like, it's just like Adam. He plays pickleball. And he would teach pickleball, and this is when he lived in St. George. He doesn't live in St. George now. I don't want nobody to get hurt by any of these practicing Satanists. I just really don't. I don't. I, it's not like they come out and they're like, "Hey, I'm a Satanist." I think that's part of their allure. I don't really know. I'm not. I don't think like them. But it really. There's so many people though that are on different sides of the spectrum because if there's somebody talking about information one way and you're like, okay, like the satanic panic. Thank you, Chris. And then if you hear somebody on the opposite side of the spectrum that's talking about it a whole other way, and then you're like, huh, but both ways can be extreme. Does that make sense? And you're just like, okay, almost. But then on this side, you're like, almost. No, you're totally dismissing it. And this person's like, just only thinking, ritual. And I mean, I know it probably sound like I do, but no, I don't. I just feel like nobody else talks about it. And I really do. I am of the opinion that my family's deaths are ritualistic, straight up. I don't think there's a lot of proof because of how church and state are supposed to work, right? And how you don't combine those elements, or like they did in Lori's case, in Chad's case. I was like, how in the hell are they going to do this? I mean, when Rob Wood and them said, when they were indicted, when Lori and Chad were indicted, and they said due to religious beliefs espoused, I was like, boom, I busted the door open. And I was like, dun, 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 dun. I mean, because I was just like, it's religious, but it's like so many other things. And some people, even Larry has said, that it's not, this has nothing to do with religion. I'm like, it really kind of, I mean, that everybody, whatever. And not like we can ever prove it. Then like, it's not like that's going to be the word. What I say is not like what defines it. It's your experience, your point of view, your perspective. I didn't know any of this stuff existed. I didn't know there were inverted things. Or hearing about Ruby Frankie's case and Jody Hildebrandt all over again. I watched Mormon Stories podcast. I swear. I'm like, John, go to sleep sometimes because they just play, and I mean, they had right before I came on, that's what was playing. It was about Ruby Frankie. And I mean, no, you don't, there's not I want to think that there are not a bazillion people out here, parents who pretend to be one thing. I know there are though, who pretend to be one way in front of people because it's all about their image, but then they're so freaking inverted and generational. There's this generational thing going on, these touch parties. I mean, this was alleged against Ruby and her sisters by Carl Crusher. I was like, that sounds right. Oh yeah. Like these touch party kind of things. It's allegedly. I don't know. Can't prove it wasn't there. But I I don't doubt it. I can imagine that. You know, I don't want to imagine that, but you know what I'm saying. That that tracks is what I'm saying. But there's people like Chad Daybell, Jody Hildebrandt, and Ruby, and Lori, and Melanie, Zalema, all that's too many people already right there. You got Diddy, you got all the people that basically hip hop is the religion over there. Okay, you might as well say hip hop is the currency. It's the real. It's the vehicle. You know how what would you do? How far would you go to be famous? Okay, and be a star. Okay, well, over here in this pillar, so to speak, in the Mormon pillar, it's basically how far would you go to save a child from human trafficking while I traffic you? The traffickers are the traffickers. I'm sorry, the anti-traffickers are the traffickers, and we knew it. We knew it. We know it. We see you. You know. Yeah, and oh, not to mention that shock doctrine. You know how Tim he's so abrasive with the words. Look, I'm all about saying M the capital M word, okay? I'm all about it. Murder. I don't want it to lose its weight. I don't want it to when I first like thought about murder, the word, I was just like, "Oh, oh god, it's so heavy." Words have power, so to speak. And the way they talk with their backwards I kinda figured it out or from my little layman brain. Basically, the way and I have a hard time reading what they write, and do a lot of reading, can do it great in my head. When I go to recite it to you guys or do a whatever, a recording of just myself talking to a camera, I have a hard time with that already as it is, but then to read their spew it's backwards, and I'm just like, my tongue doesn't move like that. It just doesn't. Hey, RP Thompson, Queen, how are you doing from Alaska? I got an email by someone who experienced those recently. What? I'm gonna have to read up religious sacrifice. That's another thing, Huggy Bear, that also like Audrey Baratero, okay? I I think maybe possibly she could be a witness in the Arizona trial. And the very woman that she claimed, again, I don't believe her. I don't believe these people. I can't. Nobody. These are people that wanted to turn the pain up on my family. Okay. And then if you really think about it, which I was in the shower before I came on, I was like, oh my God, if they were this way and, I'm going to turn the pain up to whatever and down and this and try to make them hurt and strip everything that they love and all the things that make them feel secure for a child, if they are doing and thinking like this, and then we know the evidence was in Chad Daybell's backyard for sure, and in his master bedroom, and in Arizona on the living room floor. We know the evidence. I know the evidence. I feel it all the time. It affects my family. It affects me. It's changed my life forever. But what I'm saying is, you don't have these kind of people thinking this way about innocent children. What the hell do you think Lori's gonna do when she gets up there and on her grandstand, That's the thing. I'm just like, I don't put anything past this woman. Nothing. And I'm saying woman, just I don't know. I can't be too trashy with my mouth. But I mean I can, but I'm trying not to. Um, but she has nothing to lose. She is a character assassinator, worse than her brother ever tried to be, okay? That's me being sarcastic, but well, I mean, he was shitty though, straight. I mean, he was a shit shot. He had one job. Okay, okay, I'm trying, I'm trying, I'm trying. It's very dark humor, I know. But I mean, he was shit shot. Anyways, so I mean, I'm saying if they're doing this much to hurt children, just because they get some satisfaction out of it, for their little, uh, I mean, that chart doesn't go up, boo. That chart goes down, if you know what I'm saying. There's some decelerationalists. Joking. It's inverted. Hey, Megan. How are you, girl? What's up? Hope you're not listening to me fast. If you are now, no. Just kidding. I know you always have it like on 2 times, and I'm like, well, poor thing. She really needs it with me. Okay. I got to grab my thought over here, my thought over there. Anyways, if you want to come up, it's up to you, boo. Let me know. Ooh, let me mute. Been coughing a lot lately with this allergies or something. Anywho, all right, I'm gonna put this back on. If you are, I'll just send it to you in the dang chat. Just nobody else click it, okay? Because it would suck if everybody came on. Copy. All right. And Megan, if you want to, it's up to you. It's in the chat. Okay, so I'm gonna switch it back to. I want to know if you've seen this yet, Megan. If you've read this with Kit from Wordwise. Okay, so this part right here. I want to play it, and then you tell me what you think. Especially you, Megan. I really got to know. Oh my gosh. Okay, where's it at? It's around 121. Here we go. Lori. Okay. This is something that Melanie Gibb wrote about Lori Vallow in her book that was published in between the killings of Tylee and JJ, self-published by Gibb Publishing.
Target. It's probably safer and easier than getting angry at human beings, so maybe it suggests a reluctance to confront others directly. I've always been fascinated by the phone call that Melanie recorded between herself and Lori and Chad.
Sorry.
I call it the Korihor call
It
because
is the
Melanie
Korihor
accuses
call.
Lori of being like Korihor, who was
She
an
is.
antichrist in the Book of Mormon, and Lori loses it. That was the first
She
big piece
does.
of Daybell evidence that I ever heard, and I remember thinking, these people are speaking a foreign language, because the entire
How many?
argument is conducted in religious quotations and references. If you listen to that call, you'll hear that Melanie is very awkward when she tries to confront Chad and Lori. She beats around the bush instead of just saying, "Where is JJ and why did you tell the cops he's with me?" She's
Non-confrontational.
very passive aggressive, and that's what all the scripture quoting is about. It's a way of criticizing Chad and Lori without doing it directly,
Religiously.
because she doesn't have the
Yes.
guts to do it directly. What I'm getting from all of this is an idea that Melanie is the kind of person who has difficulty confronting people and doesn't know how to do so in a
Lori
healthy,
don't like it either.
straightforward, honest manner. Instead, she blows up at people, like her kids, or at inanimate objects. Either way, she blows up at things or people she has power over. This impression is strengthened by this next quote.
Okay, wait.
I
How far
started
back did
noticing
that
I would
go?
yell a lot at my kids if they behaved badly. There was no
Um,
peace for me
okay,
as
right
long
here.
as I had children, which meant
Oh,
I was letting my circumstances and people in my life control me. I basically had no power. The people in my life and everything surrounding my life had all the power.
bust a can
How
of
can a
biscuit.
person change when they have been programmed right from birth how to respond to negative circumstances in their life?
Programmed?
She comes back to this idea that she didn't know any better repeatedly. And the idea that she's responsible for her behavior as an adult is this huge revelation.
I love
The
Kit.
idea that her thoughts might influence her perceptions is shocking to her. She
Mm,
really comes off as naive here. Before the chapter ends, there's one other story
right
worth
here.
reading. We have to learn to forgive no matter how hard. My good friend Lori had 2 little children who were being R-worded by her husband, their dad. After leaving him and fighting for custody for years, the Lord inspired her to forgive him. Can you imagine that conversation with the Spirit? Really, she thought. No way. The Lord changed her heart after going to the temple each week and reading and praying a lot. She was also baptized with fire, and her heart was healed and changed forever. She decided to accept the Spirit telling her to forgive him. As hard as it was, she asked him if they could meet, and she said, "I forgive you, and I hope you can forgive me for my part." She felt free, as if a burden was lifted. The Lord took it all away. She stands today as a witness as well that Christ can change you. She is a sure witness of his divine grace.
I'll let her continue with her analysis over
There's a
this.
recording of Lori giving testimony during a meeting at Melanie's house, and she testifies to the first part of this story, but she doesn't say anything about having forgiven Joe Ryan. I went back and listened to it again to make sure. According to Lori, she went to her bishop and told him she was either going to get her temple recommend or kill her ex-husband. So he gave her a temple recommend. And then Joe Ryan still died mysteriously. By the way, authorities didn't find any evidence that Joe Ryan was ever inappropriate with a child. That may well have been something Lori made up in order to try to get full custody of Tylee. Thus ends chapter 4. Chapter 5, Opposition.
Okay. Now, there's some other nuggets in here too. But again, well, let me go grab the link. Well, let me change your face. I know
Opposition.
I would hate that too. That's about how it happens for me. My face gets all stuck in the wrong position when I'm portaling out of here. So I just dropped that link again in the chat, but that was significant to me. It really was. It's like for her to say this line right here where we have to learn to forgive no matter how hard. My good friend Lori, oh, I'm sorry, no matter how hard. My good friend Lori had 2 little children who were being R-worded by her husband, their dad, after leaving him and fighting for custody for years. The Lord inspired her to forgive him. Can you imagine that conversation with the Spirit? Really? She thought. No way. The Lord changed her heart after going to the temple each week and reading and praying a lot. She was also baptized with fire, y'all, and her heart was healed and changed forever. Hallelujah. That part, right? She decided to accept the Spirit telling her to forgive him being Joe, as hard as it was. She asked him if they could meet. And she said, "I forgive you," meaning she's talking to Joe. "And I hope you can forgive me for my part." She felt free, just like she told Zelima, Tylee needed to be free. As if a burden was lifted, the Lord took it all away. She stands today as a witness, what, to Christ? Okay. Is that calling election made sure shit? As well. Okay, I'm sorry. Took it all away. She stands today as a witness as well that Christ can change you. See, Melanie Gibb, she always quotes this mighty change of heart, okay, which is another thing that Hector Sosa says a lot of. It's so interesting, these culty things they say, or secret society things they say. The temple is a secret society, if you think about it, from just a normal person. You just can't drive on up in there. You can't even walk up in there unless it's before dedication. It's just all the conditions, of course, Not, and I don't want to go in there. Just don't get me twisted. But they're beautiful, but nope. Couldn't put my foot in there. Okay. But I mean, it's just interesting how she's a witness as well that Christ can change you. She is a sure witness of Jesus Christ. Okay. Is calling an election made sure? That's just some of that lingo. I'm not saying for sure. I'm just saying that's just some of that lingo. She is a sure witness of his divine grace. Okay. I mean, I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. That to me was significant. And I'm like, it's like a way of saying it, but without saying it. And then it's not even Melanie. I'm sorry. It's not even Lori that's saying it. It's Melanie that's saying it, kind of like blackmailish. If I had to diddyfy it, the whole blackmail thing. And then it makes me think about Tim Ballard and how he's like, we'll have so much shit on everybody. We'll drive them into silence, allegedly. And then, knowing and watching the Diddy case, I mean, it's all about blackmail. They got you on video. Tim has a lot of video too. he said himself, I know I'm going everywhere, but it's kind of it's the same people I'm talking about always. They're not different cults. They are the same. And I'm actually I've been going over, my nose always itches when I go on. What the hell? It is. It's all to entice. Yes. Huh? I am smoking. I'm smoking. What? And then, yeah, Tony Robbins did his NLP on firewalking with who? Oprah Winfrey, Bill Clinton. Oh, well, I don't know if Bill went on the firewalk, but he definitely went to Tony. And I wanna know, and I really don't, I think I Googled it one time, but I still didn't really know, but Diddy's home in Florida, Star Island. Doesn't Tony live around there too? I'm smoking. Just saying. That's why I've been hiding behind the thing. Um, yeah, it's interesting. It's so interesting to me because I just want the people in and around, um, around my family's deaths to be held accountable. I want them exposed. I want them exposed more than anything, but that's because that's something that prosecution in Idaho fell way short of, in my opinion. That's me and my expectations, so the rest is on me, I say on me. It's on me and to like Megan and any other family member, Colby, my parents. It's just what degree do they wanna go? What degree do they know? How far are they going into this, Like, not everybody's taking the same walk. My Uncle Jerry was just here. I don't know how far he's gone in. He might have known this 80 years ago. I'm not 80 years, but you know what I'm saying, 20 years ago, and I'm just now, being like, "Oh." So, I mean, I'm just saying it's like we all have different angles at this. They're all interesting. I think so. Um, but I don't really, I can't do it for anybody else and they can't do it for me, but I always, if I want somebody to fill me in if I'm missing something. Now, a while back, Colby was doing a review, I want to say on the Lifetime movie, which is horrible. Don't waste your time or your money. It's nasty. They sure aren't doing a Diddy one, are they? They're going to get their asses sued. That's why. Just saying. But, well, I mean, they're doing Netflixes and stuff. I get it. Yeah, I gotta scratch my nose. I'm making it red. Hey, Kit. Um, oh yeah, not to mention, y'all, Oprah Winfrey was on Chad Daybell's, or allegedly Chad Daybell's zombie email, the infamous Reddit email, which was it also had M. Russell Ballard as a zombie. I'm sorry. It had Elder. It was Renlund and Ballard are zombies. I have to say it like that because that's how it was in the letter. And I mean, I believe that that was Melanie Gibb that wrote that letter, her and David Warwick, and then published it through friends. Oops, here, leaked, consider it leaked. Um, you know, anyways, I don't know. But it is interesting to me how that's what I was telling you guys about how I'm reading this 69-page document that a fellow church member of the LDS church that they put out. Okay. And I remember finding it like back in 2020 sometime. I had lost it over time. I've had different devices. I have so much cloud storage. Finally found it again. And I've been promising to publish it, but I've just been kind of tying in some, like, this is going on with Julie Rowe. And then I'm like, well, but this is going on. This nonprofit was started, and this is kind of the structure of this over here. And then you have AVAL over here, and this is kind of going. It's like checking the Mormon temperature. Okay, we know it's a petri dish, and it's just like it's fertile. Okay, and you're just like, oh God, we have our splash guards on, and we're just like, who's gonna bust now? And because I mean, it's freaky. They go hard and they go ham. They go full on destruction mode. destruction and murder are the same. By the way, Mr. Cop, tell that cop, y'all, in Arizona, please. I feel for him, but then I'm just like, all you had to do was listen. That's all you had to do. Take him seriously. Take Uncle Charles seriously. Take men seriously too. Um, be prepared in the field for these mental health calls. My brother is in dire need, or he has been throughout his life, where you don't want to call the police because it's like he doesn't need to be arrested. He is like mentally unwell, but then so that's just a bad thing that is clogging up a lot of our jail systems too. And these people aren't getting the treatment that they need, the health care, the mental health care, the mental well-being, mental all that stuff. They're not getting any of that. And, I don't know how to remedy that besides making or having it to where there's a mental health professional and a cop, and they're a cop too. I don't really know. And then maybe that just be your partner and they can do both. They're dual, dual, you can have dual, like, um, I remember Jen, she had dual, crap. What the hell? I go blank. Master's degrees, dual whatever. I don't know. It's slipping my mind right now. Yeah, I mean, at least we wouldn't be like, "Oh, if they woulda, coulda, shoulda." I hate doing the woulda, shoulda, coulda game. I hate it. I really don't like to dwell there, but you can't help but say it, because he was like, I'm worried about her. And they're like, well, just grab your son, make sure he's okay. That's the top of your worry. That's, what you need to worry about. And people are telling him what to worry about. And he's like, I'm telling you. And then here she is, dun, da, da, da. And then she is just wrecking shop. And it's sad. It's sad because, I mean, maybe it would have been a hiccup or a speed bump, or it would put a wrinkle in their plan, something. Who knows? We will never know. And I mean, I understand that's how life works. You just don't know. That's why I don't bitch whenever I catch all the red lights. I'm like, well, hey, maybe I'm not that, car wreck right there. Thank you. Um, I don't know. But getting there faster is not going to do anything either. Oh, I don't know. Chris, my ex was so tired after a long week of football. Oh, sure. What jolted him? I guess I missed some combo. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I found that book, too, again. It's about Tom Harrison. I wanna say Tom Harrison threw in on it. So did, Tony Robbins. Oh, I don't have it on tap right now to show it to you. Or you might have shown it to me, Chris, for all I know. That's creepy. So if Chad Daybell, Julie Rowe, and Tim Ballard, okay, if they're going to visit Tom Harrison, not only that, Tom Harrison was Gordon Bowen's effing therapist, y'all. For him and his other his well-connected wife at the time, Barbara Timothy. They're not married anymore because Gordon's allegedly a closet, gay man. He major Jody Hildebrandt vibes, y'all. It's right. I'm like, yeah, she's definitely got to be. In my opinion, I'm thinking she's a lesbian, like, and it's like she's trying to deny it because it's like polarizing because like I don't, the temperature it's been and the way it's been from my view. I've never been a member of the church. I've never even investigated it in that sense. I've investigated it, still am. It's an active investigation, but not in like I'm not trying to shop around for a new religion, so to speak. I'm looking, but I did try to give it I didn't go in there with any expectations. I wasn't like trying to make it bad, and I still am not marking it bad. It's pretty negative, but on their credit score with me, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't go in there with those intentions that I wasn't like, okay, because I was like looking up to the men in that church, just as I've taught my children, don't be scared of police, don't be scared of firemen and teachers and people that you can report things to if you are in a pinch, a situation, if you are in trouble, you run to that policeman. I got pulled over one time. I've said this before. I'm saying it again. I got pulled over one time. My daughter was in the back seat, and I had just got off work, and it was, I don't remember, maybe 45 and a 40 or something like that. And so the cop pulled me over, and like four of them showed up. I was like, okay. I mean, y'all have nothing to do. And I mean, that's intimidating, y'all. Again, I feel like I've been treated worse in a traffic stop than any of Chad and Lori's people and their circle jerks, as Larry calls them, were ever treated in a damn interview room. Why don't you give them a little cuddly little teddy bear, and where do y'all keep your white gloves? I'm telling you, it's crazy. And there would be like two of them talking to you, and I'm like, what? Yeah, my brain. I'm like, what? I don't know what to do when that happens. It's very um confusing and it's chaos, and I don't do well. Not with that. But so yeah, they pulled me over. This cop walked up to my window and he was like, "Can you, meet me back here?" And so I was like, "Okay." And my little girl's just in her little seatbelt. I mean, because we ride with our damn seatbelts on. I did that one time, shattered my ankle. Okay, I learned the hard way, but I learned. And so no, I lie. We didn't go to the back of the car. We went to the back of the car because I was like, "You're sc" I gritted my teeth and I was like, "You are scaring my daughter." And I was like, "I don't scare her, okay?" And he was like, "Okay, you wanna step out back here?" And so we went to the back of the car and I was like, "Look, dude, I don't threaten her with the cops. I'm not that parent." I had a sister-in-law and a brother-in-law that did just that. And I mean, no ma'am. Um, and so he went and talked to my daughter and made nice. And I mean, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to shatter that for them. Gosh, we shatter enough things for them, in my opinion. Santa Claus coming up, right? But anyways, I know it's gonna be a short one tonight, but I know I'm not really I don't really want to like pull up a body cam or anything. Not right now. I just wanted to kinda talk about that, about what that could mean. Do y'all think that there are some sirens going off right now? And we had a transformer blow, but now that you know all about my personal life, um, I did get finished painting. Yay. And I'm gonna be grilling some steaks tomorrow for my daughter. It's been about a year or so since I've had a steak, so I'm ready. Ready. I definitely think she knew. And I might have to go back and watch Hidden True Crime. I remember I forget if it was after Chad's trial or after Lori's trial, somewhere in between there, maybe, where they did a video on Audrey. I just don't remember much of it. So I can't really speak to that, but it was just a bombshell there too. It was something about Audrey kind of knew about that too. And I don't know enough to speak even a little bit about it. I really don't remember that. And I can usually remember things. I just can't recall them. I can't speak them. Um, yeah, I love that, Chris. I love that you can sit here and just speak these things out. It's crazy. Tom Harrison had his little hands, allegedly. I mean, this man was Gordon Bowen and Barbara Timothy's marriage counselor. And then whenever Gordon allegedly, all this is allegedly, and then whenever Gordon and Barbara Timothy divorced, I forget what her parents owned. Oh my god, it was like Stampin' Up, but maybe even bigger. U Postal or U something like that. Um, and he was having those weird dreams like Jody Hildebrandt too. SRA, straight up generational. But so allegedly Tom Harrison, whenever they went through their divorce, Tom Harrison was called as a witness or an expert witness because he was a well-renowned, right, therapist who um, was advocating for awareness or acknowledgement of satanic ritual abuse, saying that it was um, a real phenomenon, is how it was put, a real phenomenon. And I'm like, okay. But he was the point person allegedly for the church leadership. And so he was interacting with all the leadership in the church, allegedly. This is after the Glenn Pace memo. This is, it is just all that satanic panic time. I really think that, um, I think that got convoluted on purpose, I really do. Because the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, it's shit, okay? It is just a ruse, okay? Ain't no such thing, basically. And then they just tainted it with all the other things. I mean, I'm sure I'm speaking really ignorant right now too, but because somebody's gonna think I mean it just all one way, and I don't, I know it's basically a by per each person, person by person basis, case by case basis. Um, I don't think that the dates are on accident around all these deaths. I don't think that the whole 7-11 and that being a special number for Lori, I don't think that's by mistake. I think it's all on purpose and intentional. She's a very determined and, you can't really make her do anything, obviously, I don't think. Not that I know of, not to my experience. You can't make Lori do anything you want her to do. She's gonna damn do it in her time, her way, okay? And while I don't frown upon that, I do, however, how she handles it and the nefariousness that goes along with everything that is in her wake, basically. Um, and there's so many things that spill into this big old gumbo or this big old soup or this big river. All the things just make it toxic and just but she's also the way I think about it is this would make people like Julie Rowe, people like Melanie Gibb, people like Lori Vallow, Alex Cox, Chad Daybell, it would make them also victims of their time in their younger years. They would have had to have been raised this way. And then I'm like, Megan, um, I just can see Barry being part of some kind of fraternal organization, so to speak, plus the Mormon Church on top of that. And there's just something that she said about a comment Megan said about when Stacy died. And basically, like, whenever Lori and her mom and dad and Colby, like, they went to Hawaii and then Stacy died, right? And then there was a comment that Barry made that I remember Megan saying, I can't quote it because I don't remember it like that, but it was something to the tune of Barry saying something about touching the hem of a and it's one of those calls, like, it would be a sacrifice to those who know what that phrase means. Whenever Glenn Beck says the Constitution is hanging by a thread, the same thing. Keep your powder dry. Whenever Glenn Beck says keep your powder dry, and then, in an email to Tim after he was excommunicated by Gordon Bowen, allegedly, um, keep your powder dry is what Glenn Beck said in that letter. And then you have Eric Moutsos, who's claiming to be for the women, so to speak. Is he? I mean, oh shit. I heard the boop and it scared me. You're okay. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I don't even know what to do right now. Hey, girl. Are you here? Hi. Oh, you're muted. Girl. I don't think I can unmute you. Let me see. Nope, I can't. You ain't got no makeup on? I'm just figuring. Megan. Hey, girl. Hey. Is it me? No, your thing says muted. Okay, I saw back here that you wrote some in the private chat. I'm sorry. I hardly ever see that thing. Well, Red Rover, Red Rover. I really, hopefully you're coming to straighten me out on this. You know. Oh, maybe you said you'll be back in a minute. Okay, that could be it too. 8:54. Yeah. Okay. She'll be here in just a second. All right. Well, let me get back to the comments. My nose is red now. Okay, because it itches. Just on one side. He is not. He is not for the women, and Beck isn't either. No. 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 I was actually going through Glenn Beck's The Blaze, right? Which, I mean, if you think about it, with Julie Rowe, and back then she was doing some interviews with Kate Daly, I want to say her name was. And I mean, she's been to some of these conferences, and I'm very leery about the people that go to these conferences. I just am. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I'm gonna sit here and just observe for a hot minute because I don't know. I just feel like it is a total misrepresentation, period. Like, if you're there, then you're on your way out. Just, even if you're just a regular member. But if you're a Satanist, then you're using this as maybe a possible, allegedly could be a cover. Okay. Hey.
Hey.
All right, good.
Sorry,
'Cause
I clicked
bombing here.
on the link and then immediately a child needed me, so
No, of course. Don't you know? They have radars.
they do. They're like, "Wait, mom's getting on a live? Let's go figure it out." So, I have to admit, I'm sorry, I haven't heard anything of your episode at all. I came in to say hi, and then I got a phone call, and sorry. So, I'm just
So
here
you
to
have a
say hi.
regular life.
Yeah. Apparently, I
Well,
have
hey,
things, I don't know.
I hear you. Oh, Megan, you're everywhere today.
Well, I wasn't
Yes,
I mean, I was on Web Sleuths earlier and now this, so I guess that's 2 in one day, which is par for the course sometimes, depending on what's going
right?
on.
Just another damn day for Megan, boy. I'm
Oh
telling you
my
that work
gosh.
ethic is strong. I'm telling you, I'm jelly over here because
Well,
all you ex-Mormons, you guys are the bomb.com. Y'all don't realize that y'all got like this work ethic from hell. Y'all can network like no other.
you
And I'm
know,
just like, oh my God.
it's a blessing and a curse, honestly, because like now that we're out of the church, it's like our time was so monopolized by the church that now we feel like we have all this free time, you know.
Y'all work still.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I call it second Saturday now because, like,
Mhm.
Sunday for me was like a work day. Like, whoever said like, I used to say, whoever said that Sabbath was a day of rest was a damn liar because, we would get up early, get the kids ready, we would go to 3 hours of church. I'd be preparing
That's
lessons,
ridiculous.
I'd be making treats. When I was teaching Relief Society, I had to have a cute little display.
Of
I was getting
course.
audio-visual things ready. I
Out
was
Mormon the next
practicing
one.
music. Yeah, exactly. You have to Mormon harder than the other Mormons. Not
That's it.
not to really necessarily show up someone else. At least for me, it wasn't showing up someone
Right.
else. It was more like, I feel like I have to do this in order to be worthy. So,
God.
yeah.
It's like, you're right, it's a blessing and a curse because just in that split second, I was like, "Oh." I was like, it was funny, and then it was like, "Oh, it's sad too."
Yeah.
I mean,
That perfectionistic tendency, to like to try
yeah.
to make everything perfect to be acceptable.
Mm,
And that, so I've always been a hard worker from the standpoint that like I've always enjoyed working hard. Um, doing yard work, doing housework, doing, I don't know, just
yeah.
whatever. I've always enjoyed that because it feels satisfying to me. And I wonder if the reason for that is because I got guilted and shamed into it.
Yeah. Oh,
But
God,
even
yeah.
now, like I enjoy weightlifting. Like it feels good to me to exert myself that way. So I don't, maybe it is really part of my authentic self because I'm still doing it now, even after going through all my healing. So,
And because you want to, it's not yeah, again, nobody's telling you to do it.
right.
Nobody's micromanaging you
Yeah.
and just like, and just oh my god. I hate time and I hate calendar. I'm just like, "What?" I mean, if you think about it, if somebody has said this a while back and I was like, "Oh." They're talking about how the devil's in the numbers and stuff like that, and I'm just like, "Okay, whatever." Wow, 'cause I sit here and wonder too. I'm just like, "Okay, so if we're not supposed to be looking at astrological signs and stuff, then what the hell did they do before there was a watch and or, the sundial? Did they look to the stars by chance? I'm just asking. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
I'm sure
it's a
yeah.
real dumb question, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those questions that I'm just like, I mean, isn't that astrological in a sense, in a way? Or
Yeah.
do we even know what the ocean is right now and what the hell's happening in New Jersey? Do we even know? They don't even know, so we don't know.
Somebody suggested to me that it was a Department of Health and Human Services experiment
Mm,
because they're trying to
scare us?
measure their response if there was some kind of an airborne attack of some kind, airborne virus
Mm,
attack or something like. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea. But I will say too, like, how sad it is that they told us not to look at astrological signs and things like that because we're so
here
disconnected
we
from the
are.
natural world. I What blows my mind sometimes is that like I'll talk to somebody who is, for example, having trouble sleeping or whatever, and I'll say,
Mhm,
"Well, what direction does your house face?" And they're like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Well, what side of the house does the sun come up on?" They're like,
mhm.
"I don't know. I have the blocking curtains so that I don't." It's like,
My wall's here. Yeah.
sometimes people
Mm,
choose where they're going to live without even considering which direction the house is facing, where the sun is going to
yeah.
rise and set, what
If
the
that is
weather is going to be like. Sometimes people choose an apartment complex that is like right next to a freeway without
or
thinking
in
how that's going to affect their sleep.
mm,
Like it's just
mhm,
wild how
right.
disconnected we are from.
We are the Wild West, girl, straight up. We are
Yeah.
literally fighting demons too,
Yeah,
straight up, yeah.
exactly. You're
The
a
wild demons.
courageous person. It's amazing.
Hmm. I'm just maybe pretty ignorant.
No, no. You you
Bliss.
you actually you took a tragic situation in your life and you decided to learn all that you could so that you could not only heal yourself but also to point out unhealthy things to other people, and I think that's awesome. I love it.
Mm. That's just the inner critic in me, girl.
Yeah, your inner
Generational.
critic. Mm. I
Uncle
wonder
Jerry was
whose
here.
I wonder whose voice the inner critic embodies. That's something to dig into. What do they say to you and
Was
what does
that
it
my
sound?
shadow self?
Yeah. We're
Oh,
going to do
hell.
some of that. So I
Great.
know your episode was about Melanie Gibb's book. Um, Thank you for reading it so we don't have to. I'm not ever going to read it. So I'm going to go back and listen to your episode. But do you have any Mormon questions that I can answer for you?
Mm. Oh god, you put me on the spot. Do y'all have any Mormon questions?
Yeah, put your Mormon questions
You
in the
know?
chat. I'm happy
No,
to
I
shed light
did.
on it.
I didn't get to tell you yet. I so I was watching Colby, this is a couple weeks ago now. This is when I think he was doing the Lifetime one, which was hideous,
Oh,
right?
yeah. That was so
Ugh,
hideous. Oh my gosh.
I couldn't watch it when it first came out. I just had to, like, put it on, but I was just, like, cleaning all I was staying busy because
I
I
only
couldn't.
saw the snippet of it where they're trying to portray Adam and Lori's conversation. I saw that snippet and I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not watching this."
Hard pass. I don't even were the kids even found by that time? I'm trying to remember that part. I'm just they
I
had
don't
to have
know.
been. I don't remember.
I
Way
don't
too
know.
soon, though, for anybody, if ever there's a lifetime producer that lands here, or pass it on, okay?
Yeah.
Just say, "No," hard pass. Maybe think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
However, he was talking about it, and the visions of glory came up. And he was like, basically, I was like, okay, well, you can kind of gauge what somebody's knowledge is to something,
Yeah.
And I mean, so I was like, oh, after he, kind of just said his little piece of, it was nothing really significant. And I was like, oh, wow. So I went to write them, Colby and Kelsey, to let them know what I knew, and they can take it or leave it. I feel like I
Yeah.
do it so they don't have to, or however if they want to, here it is. But I just so I kind of sat around with that too, because I went to go write him a email, and I overwhelmed myself because I'm just like, I just start adding in all the things, and then I don't know how to just condense it. I don't know
Yeah.
how. It's just everything's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I backed off for a few weeks, and then I was like, "Okay." Actually jumped on Facebook by chance, saw Kelsey with the baby, and I was like, "Oh," I
Mm.
went to comment, and it said it'll send the direct. I don't hardly get on Facebook now, and it's like, "It'll send a direct message." I was like, "Oh, well, hell." So I went to town, and I was like, "Okay, so let me tell you about Visions Glory and Tom Harrison, Tim Ballard, and, like, how this all just, like, interweaves." And she
Yeah.
was like, "Holy crap." And she's
Yeah.
always really respectful, and, one time she even outright just thanked me out of nowhere. She was just like, "Thank you so much." And I was like,
Aw.
"You're welcome." Just, it's my cousin. You're my cousin. Jesus
Yeah.
loves me, or Jesus loves you, but he loves me more. That poor girl, man. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah. It's a
Straight.
lot.
Can you imagine if Lori was your mother-in-law? That's a whole 'nother story, man.
That's a whole
I don't
'nother
know.
take on it and a horrible one to think about, yeah.
I think I want clarification on, um and I mean, if it's not gonna be condensed, that's fine too. Just let me know, and we can do it another time. But
Yeah.
the whole Adam and Eve, and then there's Cain and Abel, and the church of the firstborn, I would think, is Cain. Because they're saying, I mean, in the LDS religion, I think they say that Jesus and Satan are brothers. And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just missed the memo a long time ago, and I'm just like, "Mm-mm, that ain't
Duh,
right."
Crusha.
Duh.
Yeah, no,
2 by
so
2, and I'm like,
for mainstream Christianity, it's a wild idea, but, for us Mormons, like, this is what we're taught. So, 2 separate issues, right? Adam and Eve and their family and Jesus and oh, my lights just went out. That's the real me, you guys. No ring light, no filter. Um,
"What?" I'll turn mine off
so
too.
it's too late for that to be going on anyway. But then there's what they call the pre-existence. Okay, so Mormons believe that we all lived together in heaven before we came to earth, and
Mhm.
that we are all literal spirit children of Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. And that, I guess it was, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little rusty. Thank goodness some of my
Okay.
Mormon brain cells are dying. It's been
You're
over
more Mormon
6
than
years.
us. Just
Yeah,
know that.
it's been over 6 years since I've taught any of this stuff. So forgive me if I get like minute details wrong.
You'll just go negative dark, it's
That's
okay.
right. It's fine. I'm already going to outer darkness.
Bring it
Um,
on.
so I think that it was God that said, "Hey, we're going to send everybody down to earth and we're going to see who's going to be faithful when they're separated from me." Because like while we're all together up here, everybody are yes men.
Repent.
Of course they're going to say that they are going to follow me. But I want to see what they're going to do when I'm not around.
Okay.
Which is a really toxic parenting technique. Just saying that.
Yeah, it's just like me leaving my not parenting, but just I think about, like, if I have house guests, I always bring my purse to bed with me. Why?
Mm.
Because I don't leave it out there for the temptation. I don't know, maybe that's wrong of me, but I'm just like, it's wrong on me if I leave it
No.
out there and just trust people and just trust the I don't know. It's just
Well,
in
just saying,
my
I mean,
care.
if you got people staying overnight in your house, I hope you trust them well enough
Totally,
that they're not
right,
gonna
that's
steal your
also
stuff.
I'm just trying to
But
be, like, if there's a friend coming over to spend a night with my kids or you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, that
I
I'm
believe
just
that removing temptation is a great plan for
yeah,
the most
to
part.
a degree, to a
But it would be like me saying, "Okay, kids, going out to dinner with my friends now. I'm gonna be gone for a while. You guys be good.
pull up the
Don't
camera.
don't touch these cookies that are on the counter over here.
Mhm.
I know you really want them. You can have them when I get home. We'll all eat them together, right? But for right now, just leave
Yeah,
them on the counter. Don't touch them." Um, and then
it's like
leaving, and then, like, anyway, that's it. Anyway,
it's like
it's
the
toxic.
pink elephant, don't think about the pink elephant, don't think about P Sam,
Yeah.
in the church, like, don't think about, pulling your winker or your
Yeah,
dinghy or
yeah, yeah.
buttons, the
Self
things, but then
self,
that's
aggrandizement.
what's happening. Okay, yeah. I
Anyway,
saw
yeah, so that was the story, and that God said, "Okay, I'm gonna send everybody down, see if they're gonna obey," and Lucifer came forward and said, "I've got a great idea. Let's make it so that nobody is tempted at all. Let's make it so that they have to make the right choices all the time." And then Jesus came forward and said, "No, I think we should make it so that everybody has free will and they can choose on their own."
Mhm.
And God was like, "Well, Jesus, if we do it that way, somebody's going to have to pay for all of those sins." And he was like, I volunteer as tribute." And Lucifer's plan was like, we're going to make everybody choose the right, and then you won't lose anybody. You'll have all your children will come
Mhm.
back to you. But if you do Jesus's plan, you're going to lose some people. And so this is where there was a war in heaven, which was a war of words where we heavily debated this topic. And
War
all of
war.
the people, yeah, all of the people who believed that we should follow Satan's plan or Lucifer's plan of like everybody has to choose the right, they did not get to come to earth and get bodies. They were the evil spirits. They are Satan's minions, basically. And then, yeah, so
Um,
Jesus said, "I'll go and be the savior."
that's crazy.
So
Does it
the
go
legend
with
is
oh,
that a third of the spirit children of
heavenly
God
host,
went with Lucifer, and the
right.
other 2/3 came this way. So
So that would deal
I
with
made
the
it,
Nephilim and all that, and I'm like,
yeah,
Nephilim, like Nephi? Like, I mean, does this go into that New World Order type, structure that I don't know. The
yeah.
what
I
freaks
don't
me
know.
out? I don't either. I mean, I'm not like it just that's something I wasn't even, like, looking I just, like, looked up and I was like, "Oh." My I just wanted to tiptoe out the room and shut the door, but I couldn't. I'm just like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's the end game for these
yeah.
people, in my opinion, is to create a one religion." And if you look at the church and how I wanna go back and look at, like, more policies that they have changed over however long, just to kinda
Yeah.
compare those and see when did this start to kind of, go that way? And,
Well, so if you listen to what Mormons say about non-Mormons and whatever, one of the things that I was taught as a kid growing up all the time is then every single person who is on the earth today or whoever has been on the earth chose Jesus's plan, because otherwise they wouldn't be here. So you had to come to earth, you had to have your spirit and your
with your
body come
body,
together in order
your
to
God
complete God's plan. And so the thinking behind that really is that, like, eventually when Jesus comes again, everybody's going to know that
the birth, resurrection, the all that stuff comes into
yeah,
play.
all of that, yeah. But
Is Grover
everybody's going to know that the Mormons were right at that point, because Jesus is going to tell them, okay, you guys, now the veil is lifted. You remember this pre-earth life where you chose to come here. They preach that we chose our trials, that we chose our parents, that we
It's
chose our
special
family
the whole
members.
way.
So
Just
I always had this like cognitive dissonance cloud of like, so I chose the trial of being essayed as a child so that
yeah,
I could
no.
learn what I needed to learn in this life so
Right.
that I would become the person God wanted me to become. So yeah, that
Makes
was,
me think about Lori and her thinking, "So
yeah.
I chose her whatever,
Yeah, she
insert here."
knew, according to Lori, she knew in the life before this that she was gonna be, that she was actually a goddess, that she was gonna come to Earth and just be immortal for a
Mm,
while, and then she was gonna have, like,
until
an
5 piece.
exalted body. Like, this was all part of the plan, is what Lori is thinking right now. Like, her going to prison, it's all part of the plan. She's being persecuted for her beliefs right now.
Oh my
God's
god.
gonna work it all out.
That's one
Um,
of the most frustrating things, Megan, is that persecution complex shit. I'm just
100%.
like, I don't get to play victim on it. You don't get to do
Yeah,
that." Yeah,
yeah,
just like with Melanie Gibb in that book, and when you watch Kit on Wordwise, you'll see, I
yeah.
mean, I'm just like, she does think she's a victim, Melanie Gibb does, and I'm like, "Well, obviously."
Yeah,
But
I definitely am working on a Mormon persecution complex
I can't
episode.
wait.
It's it's so interesting though because like of all of the times that the LDS Church has claimed that they're being persecuted against, how many times have they
Yeah,
been the persecutors? Like so
I
many
understand,
times.
but just that one time or whatever, not the one time, but mainly back in the very beginning of the church whenever they were, moving west or whatever. Um, and I mean, but then also it's a lot invited as well, because when you have the
100%.
superiority thing and you just go and like, uh, make your own money and just do whatever the hell you will, uh, then I mean, that causes problems, and then when you only
Yeah.
it's a very insular, like, society, and I mean, again, great, I mean, it's amazing to watch from, my view right here, like, I get to watch and I'm like, "Wow, that they're really resilient people," and, I mean, it gives me something to look up to. However, on the flip side of that is just that toxicity of it, that positive toxicity, that image is everything, and so, everything's only skin deep. That
Mm,
it's problematic because nothing goes further or deeper than that.
yeah.
Sweep it under the rug, and then that's why we have the mountains. That's where all the shit goes,
Yeah.
and it's never taken care of. And
Yeah,
so,
and yeah, that's
rather
the
than
thing that growing up, I was taught about my family legacy and being a seventh generation product of polygamy, that my ancestors literally did walk across the plains and some of them died and all of that.
God,
I mean, just being on that level of like, wow, my ancestors were
trying
so
to survive.
strong. They believed so fervently that they were willing to die for what they believed in, like, that's a hell of a legacy to live up
Yeah.
to, and so then to get to this point where I realized that they'd never told me the reason my ancestors were persecuted, the reason they were driven out of their homes,
No,
when you
and
take that into consideration, it's a very
yeah,
different kind of a story.
Mountain Meadows is horrific. I mean, it
Yeah,
just there's so much and I mean, this is in every religion. I haven't studied it. Again, this was my introduction into the Book of Mormon, Lori Dan
right.
Vallow and Chad Daybell. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't but I'm not, like, throwing really, that's not my thing. I'm all about I'm a human. I'm a humanite,
Yeah,
and that's what
Yeah.
I do. And so I don't really I'm just like, "Hey," we're all the same, like, but that's how I see it, and that's not how those, people who are raised in that until they get away from that and get that, what is it, cognitive dissonance? When they
mhm,
can step away and maybe step into a little bit of diversity. I maybe saw 4 Black people the entire time I was in Idaho for 6 weeks, the first time. I was like, where where's all my people?" Like, the diversity is I think it's important,
yeah, yeah.
especially, I don't know. It's just I'm not saying anyways.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
so your second question about Adam and Eve and their family, um, yeah, I got to a point where I was like, so if they were the only people on the planet, then
did she do it with her son? So, or whatever? And then
no,
how
I
is
what I always thought was
biblical?
like, well, they're brother and sisters, so they
So
don't
it's
really talk
pure.
about they don't really talk about the girls and whatever, and I was like, genetically, that seems problematic.
That
Like, as a
don't make
freshman in high
sense.
school taking basic biology,
Yeah.
Um, but again, like, these are the kind of things that I'm like, well, I don't
Mhm.
understand
I
it,
can't get past
but
that,
the
but
prophet said it, so I
it
believe
must
it.
be true.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that like Cain, the story of Cain and Abel, Cain kills Abel, and so then Cain becomes like a cursed dark being, and like some people say like he like if you've seen Bigfoot, like
Billy
that's Cain.
Rowe, straight
Like
up
it's
said she
yeah.
saw him at the Salt Lake City airport.
That's
I'm like,
one of the
"Girl."
okay, so yeah, I mean, it's
I have that
obviously
clip.
it's not canonized anywhere, but I swear to you, like, these are the stories, the anecdotal things that we were told as kids growing up
The lore.
in our like family discussions around the kitchen table, Mormon legends, you know,
Mhm. The
Mormon
lore of
rumors
it.
is what we used to call it,
So
and things like the three Nephites and anecdotal stories about the three Nephites. Do you know about that?
you know who I think the 3 Nephites are in this story from the infamous Reddit email?
Who?
I'll tell you who Peter, James, and John are too. They're the 3
Oh,
Nephites. And I think and look, this was me a long time ago. In the very beginning of this that is leadership, straight up. I mean, because then I read I was reading about the second anointing, and I was like,
mhm.
well, it has to come the prophet of the church, the living prophet has to stamp it.
Yeah.
So, are they matching bloodlines up back there in the temple, behind the
I
curtain?
don't know. I
Or
don't
what are
know.
they
Like
doing? Knowing they can't
there's
procreate, but translated beings don't procreate. And I'm just like, "What the" I don't
there's a
think they're
part of
translated
me
beings, but
there's
there's,
a
like, clubs.
oh
They're
yeah.
like, "You're a green team, you're a blue team," basically. So there's, like, the angels, and then there's the translated beings, that's, like, another I don't know, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's
There are
crazy.
some times where I'm like, okay, I don't want to know
They
anymore.
don't.
Just stop.
I
I just
know.
don't want like
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
the
I get
Illuminati. Okay, fine.
yeah.
So I saw a couple of questions here in the chat. Donna Donald said, "Did you go see Heretic?" I wanted to, but
I
I heard there's actual violence with horror. I have PTSD. I think I should not. I saw Heretic 3 times so
oh,
far.
bro.
I might
Oh,
see it one more time. Yeah, that's true. Persecution complex. Um,
I heard about it.
I will tell you this. I think that Heretic is one of the smartest movies that I've seen in a really long time. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so incredibly beautifully done. Everything from the writing to the acting to the directing to the cinematography, it was just incredibly well done. Even if you don't care anything about Mormonism, I think everybody should see it. And I'll tell you, if you're worried
Okay.
about the actual violence, there is actual violence in it. I don't want to spoil it just in case there are people who don't want it spoiled, but I can tell you this: if you're scared of violence or you don't want to
Mhm.
like you don't want to see the violence,
I
I'll
wanna
give you a
partake.
clue. Do not we wish all to partake. If you don't
It's
want to
Christmas.
see anything that is horrific, then I'll give you a couple of hints. They say the phrase magic underwear 4 times in the movie. And the first time they say it, something embarrassing happens. And the last 3 times, something horrible happens. So you hear the word magic underwear, just
Mhm.
put the blinders on for about 5 or 10 seconds, you'll be good. And then there's one other part that is there is some graphic vomiting, which always bothers
It's
me. I get the
interesting.
ick, I hate that.
Projectile.
Um,
You're like, "What?"
yeah,
Yeah.
so, it's not when you necessarily would expect it to be. So,
That's weird or
it's
yeah,
not the it's
interesting.
so I'll say this,
I
it's
just
not the
gotta see
first time
context.
you expect it to be.
Yeah.
It's not the first time you expect it to be, but the second time you see the same character, you might not wanna watch that whole part because it's a little icky.
You told me about it, and I mean, I'm still all on board, but I asked my daughter, who's the only person I would go to the movies with. I mean, I really don't go to social place. I really don't do that. I haven't done that in years, like the movie theater. I'm like, "Wow, I can't wait for it to
Well,
come
it'll be
out," and
out
then
digitally pretty
yeah,
soon.
if you just hang tight, because she was like, "I already went and watched it with Nanny and Granddad," and I was like, "God dang it." So,
Well, she could see it a second time. I've heard that when you see it the
I
second
was like
time.
hoping she would, like, offer that, and I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna sit there and make her do it," you know?
Yeah.
But, um, I don't even know if it crossed her mind. She's probably like, "Yeah,"
When
not
you
that, "Hey,
see it the
mom wants
second
to go to
time,
a movie."
yeah, you can't there's a lot of stuff that you catch the second time around,
I love that. I love catching things.
for
I
sure.
listened to
It's
the Radio Free Mormon on accident. Like, I think there was a newscast that they did, right? The weekly
yeah.
newscast, and he did it, and he was just like, "Duh, duh, duh," in detail, and I was just like, "I feel like I watched it."
Yeah,
I'm very happy with it.
I've got, like, 6 pages of notes. I could go through the entire thing, and I did sort of an unpack on Latter Daily Digest that was like a roundtable discussion, but
Mhm.
I
All that.
started to write my own episode about it because there's some stuff that I kinda feel like unpacking, but anyway,
Yeah.
I always just, like I'm trying so hard to stay focused in one direction,
I don't know how.
and I absolutely can't do it because
Yep.
every time I do have my one direction that I'm focused in, that I'm working towards, but every time I'm making progress in that direction, something else happens in Mormonism or something else happens in the world, like, the
Or
United
Lori's
Healthcare
the
thing,
case, or your
Lori's
kid's
hearing,
life, yeah. Life, girl. I
and
mean, I think that's normal though, Megan, and I mean, give yourself some grace there. You are more than welcome to just wild out here, okay? And I mean, we'll just be like 2 chickens on the run, that's okay. It is, it's okay. And, people who are here, I mean, they're here because they understand, and, they maybe deal with ADHD and just life, period, you
yeah.
know? So, I mean, just we paint with broader strokes, that's all. That we have wider brushes and we are just, like, all over the
Yeah, there's
canvas,
just
but
I think I care about too many things, and somebody said, um, my life
like,
would
you
be
want
a
to
lot
do things,
easier. No,
like,
just my
you're
life would
overwhelmed by all the things, or you're wanting to cover more things, or maybe
I
both?
just my perspective on things, where I wanna talk about healing, I wanna teach people how to spot
You're
manipulative
doing it.
behavior and coercive control and all of that. I come across so many situations that I'm like, "Man, I really need to talk about this
I
because
wanna
nobody's
sign up. I
talking about
really
it."
do. I know, and I wanna sign up. I do, I really do. I don't think it hurts. It don't hurt.
Yeah.
If I can get a certificate in spotting some damn manipulation, I will put it right there on the wall, and I will unblur my screen where y'all can all see it. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, and it's not to say that you're manipulation proof or you're foolproof or whatever, and it's not no damn lesson either for you crazies. Just kidding. Well, you know what I'm saying? It's just there's no way. I mean, I'm saying this from my perspective right here as I sit here and look at you and with all these beautiful people. There's nowhere on my mind, heart, body, soul, anything that I'm made of, did I ever, ever effing think that we would be here right here,
Yeah.
with what's happened. I mean, I'd have fought you. I'd been like, "No, I don't think so." But here
Yeah.
we are, and it is what it is, and, I mean, we're making lemonade out of lemons, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Some of us some of us just do it differently, and that's okay. I mean, because I think that you do really you maybe and Jason tells me this about myself, and I'm like, "I'm not looking for anything that I'm doing." I don't want all that. I don't want accolades. I just want like, I want people to this is and I'm not saying you people. I'm just saying this is what goes on in my head. It's just like I don't it I feel like I'm just, like, yelling into an empty hall, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, "It's this," or,
Right.
I don't know, because nobody like you said, nobody else is talking about it. I'm just like,
Yeah, you just want
"Yeah,
more people to see
acknowledge
have
it.
that perspective. Like, you want more people to be aware.
And I mean, again, that's makes me whatever, because that makes me, I'm not special, but I mean, it's just, and I'm like, I don't think I'd be here if it weren't, my blood or my
Yeah.
family. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put this much freaking thought into anything prior
Yeah.
to their deaths, because I was
Yeah.
just walking through life popping bubbles, straight up. I wouldn't watch news because it gave me panic attacks. It was so dark and heavy, and I was just like, "No, I'm good." I can kinda read a headline, and I get the gist of it. It's dark, but this is dark, and it's messy.
Mhm.
There's nothing pretty about it except for the human side. That's where
Yeah.
you're just like, "Oh my god." So as much horrible stuff as there is over here in this realm, over here, there's all you people and the connections and meeting you and sharing this with you and you sharing with me, and you do help people heal. I just want you to know that
Well,
whether you're teaching it on a board, a whiteboard, or in the e-course, that's just, I want you to know that you are doing it and you have been, and so
thank you. I appreciate that. I get discouraged sometimes because I feel like I'm not doing it fast enough or doing enough, but I'm trying to be kinder to myself about that.
You're
So,
doing a good job. You are, and I mean, sometimes it is hard to be kind to yourself. I think it is. I want to focus more on I can help other people. I can't help myself sometimes. And I'm just like, "Come on, girl. You are 46.
you
Get it
know,
together."
it's so easier to be kind to other people and to give other people grace and
Mhm.
leeway and everything like that. So
And we
we
get
need
it.
to practice
Yeah,
being kinder to
yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Would not too much, nothing extremo timo, okay? Just a good healthy dose. We know we kick our own asses. I know I do. I know you do. We do.
Yeah, but what would happen if you were too kind and too loving to yourself? We all think that what's gonna happen is we're gonna turn into narcissists, but that's not the case.
Mm.
Like, we don't have, like, that's not part of our natural human nature, you know? And when we
Mhm.
see, I've often said, when we see only our faults and other people's good qualities, that's self-betrayal. When we see
Mhm.
only our
Melanie
good
Gibb.
qualities, yeah.
Straight
When we see only
allegedly.
our good qualities and other people's faults, that's narcissism. And so, like,
Okay.
there's this imbalance, and we're somewhere in the middle, you know?
I mean, I'm
Um,
glad. So you can't
yeah.
just turn narcissistic? I didn't know. I don't know. I'm just
I
here.
well, I'm gonna say I don't see that possibility in you because you're
Mhm.
self-aware enough to check yourself, right?
I have to do
And
the
that's why
introspection.
it's so important to not be in an echo chamber with a bunch of
Yeah.
people just validating everything that you're saying, because then you do get to
That
the
can
point
happen.
where it
That
can
can happen
happen.
in a
Yeah.
in a situation like with a live stream with people who support you, and I mean, I'm like, "Please don't ever be afraid to put me in check."
Yeah, I
You
like it
know?
when
I mean,
people
'cause I won't
challenge
take it.
my argument.
Yeah, it's a constructive criticism, a constructive, like, "Hey, girl, no, you," because I know I don't, mm-mm. I just say stuff off the fly a lot, and I mean, I could track it down, I could, but and I misspeak all the time. I don't try to, but it's just a lot packed in there, and, I wanna try and be a better speaker like you. I wanna do a TED Talk.
Well,
2025,
I
stay
don't know how to
alive.
I don't know how to teach anyone to do that, because I don't think I don't know. I mean, I get lost in my thoughts and go down rabbit trails too. Like, this is a prime
Mhm.
example of it.
You're
So you had up
beautiful.
for a minute,
Oh,
Donna Donald had asked, who are the
yeah,
three Nephites? So
yeah.
in the Book of Mormon, there's a story about these three Nephites, and they, like, saved the children in this miracle or whatever, and Jesus was like, "Hey, what wish can I grant you?" It's like this weird crazy thing, like, what's the one thing that you would want? And they were like, "Well, we want to hang around longer. Like, we want our lives to be long so that we can help lots and lots of people."
Are
And
they
so
arrogant?
Jesus said, all right, you guys can hang out for as long as you want. You'll never get old. You'll never taste death. You can just hang out helping people for the rest of eternity till Jesus comes again. So there are all of these
Are they
Mormon
translated?
legends. Huh?
Are they translated?
Yeah, I think they're translated. It says that they'll never taste death. They'll never know pain or sickness or sorrow except for the sins of the world.
Or getting shot, you know, like she told Adam, you know, like
Yeah,
she would not die.
right. The
That's
bullet
it.
would just go right through me. So, Candy McMurdo, to answer your question, I need to go back and look again. It was like the children were, I don't know, I think they were going to be burned at the stake or something like that.
Content.
I can't remember what it was. I'll have to go back and look. I'll do an episode on it because it's
There you
another one of
go.
those wild Mormon legends that a lot of people don't know about. So the speculation is always like, people are always like, oh, I saw this thing and I think it was one of the three Nephites because they just appeared out of
Oh
nowhere.
my God.
I remember in particular this one situation where there was a kid was like out walking his dog and it had just snowed. And so there were just one set of footprints in the snow and the dog's footprints. And then he fell through the ice and he could have drowned, but he remembers someone pulling him out of the water and putting him on the snowbank. But then when a car came by and saw him laying by the side of the water and they ran up to the boy, there was only one set of footprints. And so everybody was like, oh, that had to be one of the three Nephites because he showed up out of nowhere and blah, blah, blah. Marathon with a Book of Mormon scholar.
I didn't know. Maybe I caught it too because I'm like, John, he's been coming on and on and on and on. And I'm like, good Lord.
Oh, yeah. So John DeLynn went on someone else's show, went on RFM's show the other night to have
Okay.
a
That's what it
discussion with
was.
a Book of Mormon scholar. Yeah, I
And Corey
agree.
British, yeah. There's been like I don't know, because I've been looking at the hip hop, you know, Diddy over there, and I'm just
Oh
like,
my
okay,
gosh.
I'm just trying to study that system and how that works. And then there's those brothers that got arrested and charged or whatever, indicted, I think. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I didn't really go into that one because I can't, but I'm just kind of like looking and I'm like, in Florida, they got arrested for doing the same thing. And I'm just like, Utah is getting close to me, you know, like I'm just not that I don't wish any bad on anybody, but I'm just like, dude, you reap what you sow and you don't get to keep doing this
Yeah.
allegedly.
Allegedly. I like that you
Always.
I like that you always have to add that at the end because otherwise,
Yeah,
you know.
just yeah, no. Anyways, I forgot to. But I mean, it's all bull.
Somebody else was asking something. Where am I? I'm sorry. I went to click to a tab.
Portal.
For SLP to be laughing and joking. SLP? Who's SLP? My brain is not connecting dots.
I know I don't
quickly
do acronyms. I'm
tonight.
like, what? How
Something podcast, maybe. So, Silver Linings podcast.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't actually watch it. I didn't
I
watch that one or
I haven't watched their stuff in a really long time. I've
the other
only
one.
seen a few of their episodes, but you know, dark humor is how Adam and Rex cope with things.
I do.
And I do the same thing, but there's
I cry.
also you also
cry.
have to get to a point where you understand the gravity
It's
of
hard.
things and you understand like the impact, the real impact of you. Like when you don't stop to think about the real impact of something and you've just dissociated through humor, when it does hit you, it's like that much harder. So I
That's
try to
so
be
sad.
balanced
Oh
with
my
that.
God. Right? I'm with you 100%. I teach this to for sure our younger one, you know, he's my bonus son. He's the baby. And so, you know, I've had him since he was 18 months old. And I'm like, it's okay. He'll be 9 next month. And I'm like, it's okay to feel. It's okay. Are you angry? If you're angry, if you need to cry, bub, cry. It's okay. Whatever you need to do, you do it. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. We still
Yeah.
love you no matter what. I want him to be okay. I want all my kids to be like that. I want to be like this. To be able to cry, to be able to express joy, genuine. I was raised in an environment where I was kind of the middleman, and I was put into situations that I shouldn't have been put into where it wasn't my place. Okay, first off, it wasn't my
Yeah.
place. And I would create distractions or just laugh about things to just it was uncomfortable, first off. And it just now I know it was inappropriate. It wasn't right. But anyways, here I am. And it's so I just do it in a very uncomfortable situations. I do. It's not right.
Yeah.
It's but it's my way. I can't help it. It's
Yeah.
so hard. But I cry. Um, I've I've seen or I could see a lot of myself in my mom. It's so hard to hear her cry. Oh
Yeah.
my god, y'all.
I'm sure.
When I was little, I mean, I remember this is like one of my earlier childhood memories. I'd be maybe 4, 3, 4. I mean, just saying. I know people remember before that, but that's not me.
Mm.
But, like, if my mom cried, if she was laying on her bed crying, I would climb on the bed too, and I would just, like, lay on her and it kinda cry too and I still will, and, just to go through this experience and, um, feel so disconnected, but I wanted to be there. I wanted to
Yeah.
go and walk where Tylee and JJ were walking, where they were
Yeah.
breathing. I just because I even went through a time I don't know if you went through this, or ever before even, but it got so bad, like, around the time that Chad and Lori were indicted. It was so there were people just I don't know, it just felt very scary. I don't know. I just felt like I didn't even deserve to breathe because they weren't breathing.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes sense. It was my
Totally.
birthday. Tammy's birthday was the very next day. JJ's birthday was May 25th. Here's the indictments coming down. There's Tylee, she was a teenager, and I mean, just in that time of her life,
Yeah.
and it's just like, "Oh my god," and Uncle Charles, and I didn't feel deserving. And I don't know. I also faced death, and I got over a lot of things that, through them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. I think survivor's guilt is a real thing. Anytime someone close to you dies, we
Mhm.
all kind of ask that question of like, why couldn't it have been me instead? I would rather
Yeah,
have
yeah.
them alive. And it's sort of like, why do I deserve to be walking around
I'm
um,
not doing anything.
when they're
I'm
not?
not doing
That's such a real and relatable emotion of just,
Mhm.
like, yeah, survivor's guilt. We want, especially when it's children, we want children to grow up to be adults, and
God.
we want them to have the opportunity to have a full life. And I think that's the thing that I've grieved more than anything else, is thinking about, Tylee's the same age or very close in age to one of my daughters, and I think about what she would be doing now. And um,
Yeah.
I think about
He's
JJ. you know he's he would have been, younger than my youngest.
13, and she would have been 22,
Yeah.
if I have that right, around that.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
born in '02, and yeah, him
Uh,
2012.
she's a year younger than my 4th child.
Mm. That
Um,
see, I mean, so it's like it's
and
just
I had, like,
wrong. It's wrong, and it is.
yeah,
Not
and,
natural.
like, Colby and my oldest daughter were really close for a long time, and they spent a lot of time together up until my daughter was 14ish or so, and I
Mhm.
had similar hopes for Tylee and my 4th daughter. They were a year apart, and that would have been, they would have, I don't know, that was
It's
my
sad.
hope.
Shouldn't have been, and yeah, there's
Yeah.
just so much, my mom all died also. JJ's mom died in all this. My stepdad that raised me, he died. My uncle Ed, there's things that have been happening too, and I mean, I freeze. I would freeze. I'm opening up
Yeah.
more now and warming up to the world. And I know it's not I told y'all I wasn't doing it healthy. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing. And the pandemic happened and I was like, "Oh, I was made for this shit." This was for me. I didn't realize how I was not an extrovert. I was an introvert, and just drinking made me an extrovert. And I was like, "Woo!" Anyways, and then I quit that, in 2018, and I was just like, "Yeah, okay, I can do this social distancing thing." I was fussing at my mom and Larry. I was like, "Y'all need to sit y'all's asses at home, you know, and listen to me. I'm wise, and I'm staying at home, and so I want you, Anyways,
Yeah.
being mature, right? And I'm joking with them, of course. I would never tell them what to do, what not to do. You know?
Yeah. I
Especially if
just
you've ever
felt
had Larry walk into the bar and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And then you wake up the next day and you're like, "Oh, shit." I had to come pick me up. I'm being honest,
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I wish that I would have known. I didn't even really think about YouTube at all until
Mm.
the pandemic, and like it was just something that kids did. It was like
I
my
know.
students did
That's
it. And then when the pandemic hit, and I was a choir teacher and we couldn't have our like big huge end of the year show that everybody looked forward to. So I had
Or
everybody
graduation.
record
Yeah.
videos, and I put
Mhm.
together a show. It was the very first time I had ever live streamed anything. It was like the craziest, wildest thing for me to do that. But I was like, well, this is just what we're expected to do. We're expected
Wing
to
it.
pivot,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
so that was the first time I'd ever like considered anything like that. But even then, I still didn't really pay much attention to YouTube at all.
Mhm.
It was like something I would every once in a while I'd pull up, like, how do I install a garbage disposal?
How do
Stuff like
you
that.
remove a rear seat out of a Jeep,
Oh my
right?
gosh. Like
Straight up.
like show me like the hands-on
I
video. I can
know.
figure out
I'll
how to
work on
do
my
it.
vehicle.
But I wish I would have known that you were out here talking about it, because in 2020, well, 2019 really, when all of this stuff was happening, I felt so
Mhm.
alone because nobody in my immediate family wanted to talk about it really. Like I could talk to my dad about it a little bit,
Oh,
but
wow.
every time I asked him something he didn't really know, or he would talk to Rex, or he would sometimes like show me stuff that Rex had sent him, but it was like bits and pieces. It wasn't cohesive. I couldn't really
Yeah.
figure out what was going on. And I was literally, I remember in the summer of 2020, like after the kids had been found, of course, like that was such a dark, horrible time for all of us, I think. But I just
Mm.
remember like pacing in circles in my backyard, thinking about my interactions with Alex. And I remember like the moment it sort of dawned on me that I believed what happened with Stacy, and rethinking that whole situation, and like calling the FBI,
Mm.
and in my backyard on the
I'm
phone with the
sorry.
FBI going, I hope my neighbors aren't also in their backyards like listening to this craziness.
They're like oh
Yeah.
my god. No, I'm proud of you for doing
Anyway,
that. That's big. That's big.
I just really wish that I had known that there were other people that I could have talked to, because that was such an isolating time for me. Like I really felt like I was in a vacuum by myself,
Yeah,
not really knowing how to unpack any of this, not knowing how to process it, like just calling my therapist and being like,
I didn't have one.
how do I even process this when I don't know what happened? You know?
That that's interesting. That's something my doctor died also.
Oh my
I
gosh.
my doctor since I was 15, he died April of 2020, um, and then the pandemic happened, and then we had 2 hurricanes, a tropical storm in between there. It was It was what do I call it? The Trauma Tour 2020. Straight up. It was just, wow, just here, just knock out that whole year. And it was but it also on the positive side, it allowed court hearings to be Zoomed, and make it into my living room. And so that's when I came to know YouTube, because I was all about Facebook. I was like, "Oh my gosh." Ashlyn would be on her with her little pet shops, and you'd hear, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm watching my pet shops." And I'm like, "Good Lord, y'all went out YouTube." I paid for it just to have the to be able to close my screen with my music, because that's all I did was listen to music, and
Yeah, me
that's
too.
how I would feel, and I would emote through all that. But I didn't. Okay, so you get to a point where so I'm researching, and then this case is playing out, and I'm just like everybody else is telling it, and it's your family, and you're just like,
Yeah.
whoa, just like you said about Lori, like we're like people are saying that Lori's this way, that was not at all your
She
experience.
was such a
And
great mom.
but even Colby the other day, he was like, that's really all I had to say. He was like, I don't think she was a great mom now, knowing
Yeah.
what I know now. But
Right.
you're not just equipped with those tools. I wasn't. You pick them up along the way, and then you build your damn toolbox, and then you
Yeah.
share them. Right. And it's like specialty tools for sure. And they're special to each of us, I think, even.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and
yeah,
we have to be willing to explore new things and to take those
hold
things
'em
out of our lives and examine them and be like, is this still working for me? Is this
hold 'em
what I
up.
would choose right now today if I was starting over from the beginning? And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have the capacity or the margin to do that. And I don't fault anybody who doesn't have that
Mm,
margin because
no.
so many of us are in survival mode and
Yeah.
it's so hard to carve out a little, piece of sky to be able to look at something in it from a different perspective. And I just
Mhm.
that's why I started the Midlife Revolution podcast. That's why I talk about making those small changes because something even as small as like moving my patio furniture from right behind my house to like over on the other side of the yard and
Mhm.
sitting over there and looking instead
Right.
of sitting over here, I'm like,
And yeah, seeing a whole new perspective. It's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and just, like, even
Or
looking at small dumb things, like, I have a shoe rack on the back of my closet door. I absolutely hate it. Like, why do I keep putting up with it? I hate it. It bothers me every time I open the door. So I finally
right.
decided to take it down the other day and imagine that I could arrange my shoes in a different way, like, how
Walk
groundbreaking,
out.
But it's like
It's
but
the
it's
little
those little
things, though.
things that, like, improve the quality of our life even just a little bit, and that gives us
Yeah.
more margin, which opens the door for more change, which makes us better human
Human.
beings in the long
Yeah.
run.
And able to love yourself and to say and to give yourself more grace and
Yeah,
yeah, not worry about the little things, especially
hopefully.
when the big things are consuming you. I've been consumed,
Yeah,
and I mean, I know that, and I'm starting to take that back. So that's good. I've been painting and, not as immersed,
that's awesome.
which I know can be unhealthy. It's if I could walk with you guys, and I know you can, but it's not always my best look. But, you know, I mean, you don't wanna see me like breathing. I gotta get back into I mean, but I'm doing the whole insanity thing, expecting different results, and that's that insanity. I can't stand it. It's an echo chamber itself,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh, I've got to move," and so I know it's not much. It's just in my house even. It's walking, outside and, "Hey. Oh, thank you so much." And this is Megan too. This is, Kylie and JJ's cousin. Mine by extension. And,
yeah,
she also has a channel too. This is Megan Connor, and this is Wordwise, and that was bombshell. I know all you did word-wise, but deliver it, but you did it so elegantly. She's good at this. This is what she does. This is her realm, her niche, and it's like she psychoanalyzes I know you don't, but I'm just saying it's oh, look, I'm graceful. It's like she can, like, kinda pull their personalities or their thought process out of Chad Daybell's books, which are mind-numbing.
yeah, terrible.
No, I mean, but it was so telling to me, because it's just one book, right? But
Yeah,
thank you. She's doing Visions of Glory. I myself, I've noticed that but that's just me. I mean, for Chad and Lori to be like okay, what next? I mean, straight up. You're like,
Yeah, like as their guidebook.
yeah, it's like the blueprint, so to speak, you know?
Yeah.
And so I find that intriguing, and that's why I had to tell Colby all that. I was like, "Colby, no, no, no. This book, it's not just a book, boo. It's the person attached to the book."
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's
but thank
the
you for
whoever
that.
interprets it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some crazy people out here interpreting it like Chad and Lori. That's
Yeah.
scary.
There
So I'm like,
literally are, and I think we've talked about this before. There are groups of people who like get together and read it and discuss it as if it was
latter
something
day
to
media,
be.
I am not scared.
Latter day
Straight up.
media is
They
what
drop in.
you know who they used to be, right?
Mike and Nancy James,
Right.
always.
They were the
Them.
ones who did the
Preparing.
preparing of people, and now they're latter day media. So just so people are
Yeah.
aware.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. I've been in their chat like, "Hey, hey." I mean, just I'm friendly. I mean, it's my family that disappeared, not yours, you know? And it's just like, "Hey, I come in peace," but wouldn't acknowledge me at all. And I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than these people who are in and around Lori and Chad.
Yeah.
Way closer than I think I actually separate them more than they really are, you know? I'm just like, "No, no,
Yeah.
no. Okay, well," like reading these documents about Julie Rowe that this Latter-day Saint member who was concerned about what Julie Rowe was purporting as she should or they should have been. I don't know if
Yeah.
they're male or female still, but I mean, I'm glad, I'm thankful. There's red flags that show up, and so I'm glad for people who aren't scared to put it out there and that are questioning things, and just because they're questioning things does not make them bad people
Right.
or you're not in the you're dark. That's what it is, you know?
Yeah.
You're ostracized. What do you want with the church? That kind of thing. And it's just I don't know. I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm very fascinated by this subject as well. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
realize.
fascinating and scary. I'm grateful that more people are talking about it and calling attention to it because these groups are still out there, and it's a lot to cover. And this is why I say I get overwhelmed because you're talking about
Mhm.
Diddy. I'm thinking
That's
about
for
all of
education
the
purposes only.
right, right. And
Mm.
I think about the Tim Ballard stuff and all of the rafficking stuff that is particularly poignant to me, having
Right,
been
I
through something
know.
similar. And I want to talk about all of that stuff, but there's just not
Right.
enough time in the day,
I get it.
and there's not enough energy in my spirit, to talk about
Hey,
all of it.
and I
It's just
mean, I thought about you because of your experience, and then I never thought about, hey, well, you know, sometimes when you fall prey to that or, it's part of your past and you've been I don't wanna say victimized because that's not a very empowering word, but, to each
well,
their own. I'm just saying, you
yeah,
didn't choose that, and people don't choose that, and it happens way more often than we even think, and it's not at all the propaganda that Tim Ballard is still pushing, allegedly, in my opinion, at all. That was
yeah,
just a money bag, a money grab, and it worked. And that's scary because that's like feeding the dragon. It's just like, here you go,
yeah,
monster. But now do it again, except really pull one over on everybody. And
yeah,
anyways, really harm some people allegedly. It's nuts. So I'm
yeah.
sorry. I didn't think about that, but so yeah,
I'm
I'm
happy to
sorry.
let Kara Burrell cover Tim Ballard. She's doing an excellent job.
Mhm.
I know Lauren Matthias has done a couple of different things on OUR, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to let you cover Diddy if you ever want me to come on and comment, I'm happy to comment. I just don't have space in my brain for
Yeah,
researching it all and putting it all
I
together,
get it. I get
and
it.
I'm trying to be better with my time management. It's been really difficult for me for the last couple of weeks because I've had like weird emergencies come up that have just like derailed things. Um, like my daughter's hamster died last week. I had meant to get on a live on Sunday night, and we were doing a little funeral for the hamster, and
Oh,
then I had a plumbing issue that just like shut down my entire house because both bathrooms were all plugged up.
Girl, hey, I
And so
don't
it's
feel
like,
alone again. I don't feel alone, and I miss Jason, in this aspect. I mean, he's here.
yeah,
He's still here, but he's not able like he was, and, I
yeah,
mean, that's for safety purposes. He had those 2 strokes. They really
mhm,
that's a traumatic brain injury,
right,
and
right,
I didn't realize that, and, again, I haven't had a counselor. I haven't had counseling or therapy. This is my therapy. This
yeah,
is my therapy, and it's so awesome. I don't I know it's not even a good word, adequate word. It's I can't even begin to express what this platform and this space has allowed me to do and grow and just, just kinda throw these things out there. I know they're crazy. They're not my
yeah,
crazy though. I'm just trying to it's like, we're not gonna end up over here where things are normal and, perfect and organized. We're not gonna go there. It ended this way. There's the
yeah,
evidence. Follow the evidence. That's what I do with their words, basically. Tim Ballard ties into this though. He does. If he
totally.
didn't tie into this story, I move around,
Yeah, totally.
I would be okay with that, but he does.
Somebody asked in the chat
Indirectly.
earlier if we thought that it was likely that um, he met with Tom Harrison, and yeah, 100%. We actually
It's
know
been
that
said.
that Chad and Julie Rowe met with Tom Harrison, and that he gave them some instructions and possibly some assignments. So
We won't know. Why? Because none of them are forthcoming people, especially Julie Rowe. I mean, Chad, he's on death row, Julie Rowe, and then we have, Miss Advocate representing herself, which is
yeah,
I don't even know. I was okay with it until it actually the hearing happened, and then I was like, "Oh," I cried
yep.
before I came
I
on here, but I cried. I was just like, "Hooker."
Yeah, it was upsetting for sure. How's your mom
Mhm.
doing with that? Is she doing
Mom
okay?
is like she's, shocking me, and I mean, again, we all take this differently,
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna be on the stand, she is, and so
yeah,
that's my mom, though, and I swear to God, I mean, I might have to not be in the courtroom on those days or that
yeah.
day because I
Well,
don't
when
wanna Arapaho tribe. I'm just saying.
yeah, when
I
I
know,
talked to
Megan.
your
You're like, "What?"
No, I hear you. When I talked to your mom, she was like, "Bring it on. I can't
I'm
wait. Like, please, I dare
she's,
you,"
like,
you know?
preparing for it, with her therapist and everything about how to handle, Miss Hostile there.
Mhm.
Um, because
Yeah.
and I again, mom said the last time she laid eyes, not with a victim impact statement where you have to refrain from saying this or that,
Right.
but was March of 2019 whenever, mom was helping Uncle Charles pack. That's when we had JJ on the bus all to ourselves,
Yeah.
and that's when I got that video, forgot about it until they were missing it, and I was like, "Oh my god." I found it, you know? But I'm so glad I captured that, but so mom was helping
Yeah.
Uncle Charles pack from the Arizona house moving to Houston, and, that's like, I guess Lori didn't see mom whenever her and Melanie Gibb walked in, and, like, she went straight to Uncle Charles and you know, engaged like some sandpaper, um, or like that plumbing problem you have and bringing up old shit. You're welcome. But, oh my gosh, straight up.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so but, like, Lori didn't even know mom was there, and then, like, mom was just like, she made herself known, and then Lori stopped, like, yelling at Uncle Charles, allegedly, according to my mom, I believe her, and so she just stopped engaging in that fight with Uncle Charles, and it was like, "Oh, hey, KK," and I'm like, "I'm KK. Damn it, you just" anyways, it doesn't matter because Lori said it, so it doesn't matter. But,
Yeah.
and so basically she was telling Charles Lori was telling Charles, he was like, "I'm moving and I'm gonna be by my family," and she was like, "What family? You don't have family," and I was like, "Wow." That's that Lori,
Mhm.
Hello. Yeah, that's not the Lori that showed her best self, to me,
Yeah.
or my
Yep.
family. I definitely, whenever her and Uncle Charles came to Lake Charles to take custody of JJ to bring him home, and they stopped at my work. I worked at the city court. I know. And it was cold, and I was glad that they stopped by, but I was not happy about it. I was not happy about it. I was like, we, like, I'm thinking my brother is in jail. That's his baby. Mm-mm. He's not outside. I don't know. I was not thinking about JJ. And I mean,
Yeah.
still, I'm like, "Well, was I?" Or, but that's because of what happened, but at that time, you know, I was having to teach myself how to be, like, selfless and not selfish. I mean, I was a single mom raising my own 2 kids, and then here's JJ, and he didn't have autism. It's not like they are born and then they're like, "Psh, he's gonna have autism, ADHD." That's not how it happens.
Right.
He was my brother's baby. That's my only nephew. I don't have nieces. I had 1 nephew, straight up. Um, and I mean, my brother's what, 30 whatever, 8 years younger than me. I'm 46. Um, and I mean, it just you don't replace that anyway. So I just I wasn't happy about it, but I was grateful, thankful that they did come by. I got to kiss him bye. I got to say hi to Uncle Charles and Aunt Lori, I mean, because it it looked like I mean, after I had some time to think about that and to sit with that, okay, maybe I'm being selfish, like, I don't know, who am I, Like, I'm like, "We can do it. We can all pull together and we'll do it," because I mean, I don't think at, the age that mom and Larry were at that time, I don't think you're ever like, "Yeah, Imma raise me some grandkids, starting with this one." It's not like
Yeah.
I don't think anybody but, you know, I mean, you will, you do, and you'll do whatever, I'm sure, but hopefully it is what's the best interest for the child, I really hope so. It's made me see a lot of things differently,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, totally.
Um,
I think this whole case has made me see a lot of things differently. Um, and what I don't know, it's just one of those situations where like you were saying, like none of us
mm,
asked for this. But now that it's a part of our lives, we're making the best of it. And I
yeah,
actually think that, you're going just even beyond that to try and teach yourself and other people about, where this came from and how to
yeah. It doesn't end with convictions even.
right.
It doesn't end with death. It doesn't end with, receiving their remains back. It doesn't end with a conviction and a sentencing. Doesn't end there. It continues on because grief is just evolve. I think it's just this ebb and flow, and it's just gonna and it gives me chills. It's just there's so many things that have popped up, and I mean, I think that okay, I gotta tell you this, and I may have, so stop me if I did. Whenever it was Trauma Tour 2020, all those things were happening, all the bad. I mean, it was just blow after blow after blow. You didn't have a chance to come up for air. You're
Yeah.
just like, "What hit me? What hit me?" And when you would just identify what hit you or what info came out that just boom knocked your cells, your the wind out of your cells. Then you get back up and you're just knocked down again. But you just get back up, that's one thing I've realized, okay?
Yeah.
And I think I see that in you. I see that in a lot of us, okay? As humans, and just not settling, just continuing. We have to, you have to. It's
Yeah.
will. But one thing that I didn't realize at the time was, because I didn't have a therapist, because my general practitioner passed away. He called children, they were, tricycle motors. I was like, "What?" He got me with that one time, and that's what babies are. That's what kids are. They're tricycle motors, and I was like, "Oh, just a coon ass, Mr. Dr. Primo." I'm sorry. And I mean, I miss him. I mourn him. Like,
Yeah.
I saw him from the time I was 15, and then he died.
Mm-hmm.
And he had just basically saved Jason's life. He got him to the hospital with a thoracotomy. I mean, it was just so many things going
Yeah.
on top of everything else. And then I've gotta say that I lost my parents in a sense,
Yeah.
because it's consuming, and it just it is a ripple effect, and it just really sucked to watch my parents age on
Mm.
TV where I couldn't touch them.
Yeah.
Not all the time, and then whenever they were home, I didn't wanna, like I it was just like, I don't know where to stand. I don't know
Yeah.
where people are. I like to talk about it. People don't like to talk about it. Everybody's on their own journey in this. I've learned that the hard way too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay. Um, but the one thing that really got me was I reached out by chance. I don't know how, but I did. I'm not big on emailing. I don't really get it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm more of a phone texting person, but um I emailed this compassionate friends here. Um I think. Yeah, it was here. And I don't even remember what I sent them. It was just like, "Hey," it's like I just had to tell it. I'd go to the dollar store or the corner store, and I'd just be like, "Yeah," and I just had to tell people besides Jason, I mean, it's just New Year's, and, my best friend, it's like we just kind of there was so much going on, and it's like she was in her own trauma with the hurricanes and everything, and so you just kinda are like, "Okay," you just kinda blend in, I guess, and just
Yeah.
everybody else is traumatized to their own levels, but I didn't realize till months later that, when they emailed me back, I happened to see that too, and I saw it and I read it, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, we heard that it happened to a family in the lake area. We're sorry, but because you're not a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, a brother or sister, or even a grandparent, um, that they have to have boundaries. I get it, but it didn't even it didn't like hit me again. I absorbed things until much later, and I was like, "Oh my god, they rejected me." And I mean, I did. I felt rejection because
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, but at that moment, I still didn't know where to go. I didn't know, you don't really know to reach out. I just did. I just kinda grabbed at grappling at straws,
Yeah.
and they didn't point me in a direction. They didn't say, "Hey," and I'm like, "That really sucks." And that's when, I learned that, like, nobody gets to tell me how to grieve. That was very empowering.
Yeah.
So, I don't get to tell you how to grieve, and you same. It's a respect, and so, it's very empowering though, because if it's and this is my thing, I'm like, if there's a pet rock and it's your pet rock and it's the one that that has brought you happiness and joy, whatever, if it's a plant, a dog, anybody, anything, if you value it in your life, then nobody gets to tell you, you can't grieve, like, you're not allowed here, basically. I wish there was some place, and maybe there is, I haven't looked because 'cause I'm scared of rejection? Not a fan of it, and,
Well, none of us are like good with rejection. It hurts all of us
yes,
to be
I didn't
rejected.
know where to
I think,
go.
yeah, I mean, when we start to learn to give ourself things rather than looking for them externally, when we start to learn to
Yeah,
validate ourselves and love ourselves, then that rejection doesn't hurt as much because
mhm,
we realize that, we have to complete ourselves, you know, in that way.
Right.
And so we learn not to be as offended. And I say that not like in a negative way, like
Mhm.
our spirit gets offended or hurt or harmed when we get rejected until we realize that I don't know, it's this delicate balance between we don't need anybody, but we choose
Right.
to have people, we choose to have community, we choose our family, we choose the people that we're going to spend time around because we can enrich their lives and they can enrich our
We're
lives,
worth it, and we're worth
but
it.
not clinging on to somebody out of a desperation of a
Mhm.
need for validation.
Oh,
So yeah, you are
that was
getting
so
it.
profound. There was all that, and all the things were going on, plus that. Jason was helping me see that too. And I mean, again, I had him to help me, but wasn't so much it wasn't like codependent. It was like, you don't need anybody, babe." And I was just like, "What?" And I mean, I wanted, mm, permission to breathe and to say what I wanted to say, but
Yeah.
I definitely did not wanna come on here with a microphone and a camera ever. I never wanted to harm the case. I never wanted to say something that I shouldn't have or shouldn't say. I didn't know to say allegedly. That was a lesson,
Yeah.
that sprinkled on this side of the true crime genre, and I
Yeah.
was just like, "Oh, okay."
Well, and I
That
love that
self-awareness.
about this community. There are so many people who are like willing to help and give guidance. And I love it when I'm talking about something and I miss something or there's something I didn't know or I say something incorrect and people are so kind about correcting, you know, nicely and about informing and all of that. I love that about this particular
It's
community.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, and I think we are what we attract, also, and so I think that, you know, I see a part of my own experience in you, and I think I don't know, I do. I think that's
Yeah.
how I relate to people, and I think that's how people relate, to me or to this case or to different victims in the story. There's so many people, and some people are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but, I'm not trying to say I don't love Uncle Charles or, whatever, but
Yeah.
I really feel for Tylee, or I really feel for Charles," or whatever it is. And I think that is so beautiful. I think it is. It's like it gives me chills. I think it's like their spirit, their legacy,
Yeah.
their names are being spoken. They're not truly dead, so to
Yeah.
speak, because their memories, their stories, they have purpose, right? I,
Yeah.
I- and it's beautiful to see the human side of this. That's the beauty.
Yeah, I
And I
think so
mean,
too, and
yeah, but
I love your love always wins. That always
that's
brings me so much comfort whenever I hear you say that. So,
Charles said that in a divorce whenever he called off the divorce to Lori,
yeah.
he emailed allegedly, I hope it's him. He emailed, his attorneys and said, "What can I say, Taylor?" He said, "What can I say, Taylor? Love always wins." And I was like, "Oh, wow." But I mean, that little statement grabbed me, and I was just like, "Oh, that encompasses my Uncle Charles totally." I'm not saying he was perfect, and I know for sure he was not. I'm not. None of us are. And
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't wanna ever put him away. You know what I mean? Like, on a pedestal where he was human, and,
Yeah.
now the kids, they didn't have a damn choice, okay? Straight up. I'm
Right.
just like, they were kinda just no, they weren't kinda. They were just tossed in this, and it's
Right.
really sad. And I mean, I love that you advocate for the kids too, because that's really at the end of the day, it's about our kids, those kids, all the kids. It's about our grandkids, our what do you call that? I don't know. I forgot it. Our kids to come, all the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Um, there's a word, but it's worth it. They're worth it, and I didn't
Yeah.
realize all that. It's not about me, for sure, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
just go back and
and
forth.
talking about your story about, Kay and Larry, we're all going to disappoint each other.
That's
We're
fiance.
all oh, thank you. Thank you, Jason. It's good to hear it from you. I hope you are healing.
Yeah, he's in the room. Love you.
I think we're all going to disappoint each other. We're going to disappoint ourselves,
Expectation.
we just have to give each other grace for being human. And I think the more that we talk about our imperfections and our weaknesses and our humanity, the healthier that we're going to be. It's people like Lori who refuse to admit that they have any weaknesses or imperfections. That's how you get that way, is by pretending like it doesn't exist, by ignoring the shadow, by stuffing it down. And I love that. I love how real you are, and I love how open you are about talking about your disappointments in everybody in this case, and in yourself, and in in a healthy way, where it's like, I didn't know, now that I know, I do better. And I think that's
Lots of those.
the more people who can adopt that ideal of like, yeah, I'm not perfect. I messed up. I didn't handle it well. And I've learned. And now that I know better, I'm going to do better.
Straight up. My mama, Trahan, was like a mother to me in a sense. Like, she raised 5 boys. Here I am, her step-granddaughter, but I never would have known. Never would have known. She never treated me indifferent. If anything, I was special. But I mean, she passed away in 2023 or 22, not long ago, and I miss her so much. But she would tell me things. I got a DWI one time, y'all. Just once. And I was like, "Oh my God." Like, I was freaking out, and she was like, "Hey." She was like, "Is it gonna eat you?" And I was like, "No." And I mean, it made me feel not so little. I know. And I'm just like, "What?" But I mean, it's what I needed to hear at the time. Or she'd say, "Do you have food in your belly? Do you have a roof over your head? Are you healthy? Are your kids healthy?" She would do the whole rundown. I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." And I mean, she's seen some hell, she's been through good and bad. And I mean, just a very tough woman who was she's my hero. But I mean, so I hope that she would tell me things like, sweep around your porch. That means don't worry about what other people are doing. Make sure yours is clean, girl.
Yep.
And let's see, new boyfriends. It was every new broom sweeps. Good. I'm like, what's your deal with brooms? Lori's like Grand Theft, But just those good, I don't know, those good sayings that that's why God made a tomorrow, because you can only do whatever you can. If it's breathing, whatever it is you need to do, I think it's great. Just as long as you get up and you know, don't go backwards. Just don't go backwards.
Yeah. As long as we get up and we're one foot in front of the other,
That's
we're making,
sometimes that I've said that so many times.
we're making progress. Progress is did I get up one more time?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that we always think things should be linear, like this steady upward trajectory, and it just isn't like that. And we always have to give ourselves grace when we have a setback or whatever.
It's hard to see, like, maybe your friends are over here or they're, at this level in their life, but it's different strokes for different folks. Straight up. We're all different, but we're all unique. You're the only you there will ever be. But Kate used to say that all the time.
Yeah, and also I love thinking about the idea that a man never steps in the same river twice, because it's a different river and the man is different every time, and for me, I like to say a woman never swims in the same lake twice.
Wow.
Because because I'm a different person every time. The water's different every time, and
you're just like this. You're leaning over the ledge, and they're like, "Don't do that." And you're like, "No." I'll never forget that. But also, I'll never forget, I didn't have video space. I didn't have iCloud space. It ran out on me in Boise. But Megan came over to the condo where mom and Larry stayed, and then I happened this was for the kids. Yeah.
The memorial. It was the weekend
Yeah,
of
it
the
was for the
memorial.
memorial.
I came on, I want to say it was Thursday night, because then we went to court on Friday, and then the memorial was
Yeah,
Saturday.
me and mom did not.
Yeah.
I sleep in, and I was like, "I got the TV, boo. I got the TV." She was like, I didn't know she even stayed, but yeah, had we really, I guess, communicated about that, you'd have been bunked up next to me. I'd have been like, "Doo, doo, 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 doo." You're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I went and stayed at a dive hotel. It was pretty nasty.
Yeah, no, that after I heard that, I was like, "Oh, hell no." I'm so sorry, but she brought Larry, I forget what kind of, was it whiskey?
Yes.
I
Michter's
think
American.
that, and she brought 'twas the night before
Oh,
Christmas,
the
but it was like
Cajun
the Cajun version,
Night Before
and
Christmas. Yeah.
y'all, Larry read that entire book, and I was like, "Okay, straight up, got this," and it was like, no space. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Here we are coming up on Christmas." You know what that means. We need to ask him if he will come on and read
Oh my gosh.
that. Don't hold us
My
up to it,
heart. Okay,
but wouldn't that be awesome?
thinking back on that, because I just sprung that on Larry. I didn't give him any advance notice, but I told him that, I used to live in New Orleans, so we had this Cajun Night Before Christmas that we always used to read from, like, all the different places we lived. And so I thought it'd be so fun to have Larry read it, but I didn't give him any notice. So I was
He read it.
thinking what I should have done instead was I should have written it out in regular English and let him Cajuниze it
Oh, yeah,
instead of
'cause he
reading the
does.
Cajun. Because the
He's like,
Cajun,
"And the shack and the chat," and yeah.
yeah,
Boudreaux and Thibodeau, straight up, y'all. That's
yeah.
jokes. We're like Boudreaux and Thibodeau, and then there's Boudreaux and a damn Thibodeau in Arizona. I'm like, "What? What happened?" I met Brennan. I'm sorry. I met Brennan for the first time, and I was like, "Are you?" He was at my mom's, and he was installing cameras, right? Because I needed them. So I was helping him. I was like handing him the drill, and I was like, "Are you sure you're not from here?"
Yeah.
You like poke him, like, "You sure?"
Yeah,
But
we should definitely have him come on, if he will come on and read
if
it.
you will,
It'd be
I
so fun.
mean, Christmas Eve. Um, I remember Christmas Eve with JJ's shark pajamas hanging,
Mhm.
and just because I mean the kids. That was right at the very same time that um it went public.
Yeah.
2018.
2019. 19.
See, 2019. Thank you. And I remember JJ's pajamas. I remember whenever whenever the Hurricane Laura came through, and we went and stayed, all of us. My Uncle Bobby was very gracious, and um, he had plenty of room for us, thank God. And mom brought JJ's pajamas with her and had them in the closet. They're like, it's so significant,
Yeah.
it's like they symbolize things. And just like whenever, his ashes came home, whenever I
Mhm.
got a selfie from my mom, it looked like Larry was sleeping, but I got a selfie of mom, and she's just like, and there's Larry. I thought he was sleeping, but he wasn't. Um, and then there's this blue box, and I'm just like, "Oh," and I'm like, "My mom can do whatever the hell she damn needs to do."
Yeah.
Like, that was the whole, "Where are the kids? Where are the kids? Where are the
Yeah.
kids?" You know?
Yeah.
And it's just so sad, but it doesn't have to be. It's not like it's, we've had to be okay with it, right? I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
we can do.
We've had to
So
get to a place where we've embraced reality, and I think that's one of the reasons why I did stay away from coverage for so long, is because it hurt too much, and I just did not want to. It felt like I
I
was,
know.
having my heart ripped open every time I
Major.
saw something new, so I
Mhm.
avoided, for sure, like dissociation
You
was,
did good,
was
though.
my,
I mean, sometimes it's needed, though. Sometimes it's not a bad
yeah,
thing, I mean, you do that. Survival mode. straight
Mhm.
up. And you don't even know you're doing it. It's just you need that. I think
Yeah.
it's okay. However you handle it. Nobody gets to tell you how to grieve.
Yeah, that's so true. I think it's really good though to have other examples too of how people are handling things. I like to see like all the different ways that people handle things because sometimes
Aunt
it
Vicky.
gives me permission to do what I need to do.
Mhm.
And I'm just so grateful that for all of the people that I've met in this, and that
Me
getting
too.
to know you and Kay and Larry has been such a blessing.
I was thinking about Aunt Vicky earlier, and I mean,
Mhm.
I I'm just so glad that I'm just and Heather and Matt and
Mhm.
just all the people, all of you here, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I just thank y'all so much. I
Yeah.
know, and I thank you too. Anyways, I thank you so much for this. Thank you
Yeah,
for
of
just
course. I'm happy
accepting
to
my
hop on.
little
Sorry I didn't feel like I added much to the discussion, but
No.
I always love talking to you. So
You was kind, you was smart, you was important. Okay. I'm
yeah.
serious. And, I love you and I love everybody here too. Thank y'all so much for just listening to chicks talk, you know? I mean, it's pretty cool. Very healing. Uncle Jerry was here earlier in the very
Oh, nice.
beginning. "They got the bitch." That's what he
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and
Kresha, I love you and I'm grateful for you. And it was so nice to see Jason a little bit,
I know.
quote unquote. But I can't wait to spend time with you again. And I'm sure we will talk a lot between now and then.
Oh,
But
yeah. Girl.
anyway,
Yeah, I think 2025, my intentions are to stay alive, okay? It rhymes and yeah. So, and by that, I mean, just a little more than I'm doing now. Like, just every day, just maybe try to add something that'll add value to my life or maybe some time to my life, joy, something, I don't want Lori to have the power that I've allowed her to have. And I mean, by choice, I don't know. That's a tough situation
well,
because
you
a
were
lot went down with it.
you mentioned this before about like the amount of time and energy that we spend talking about this case. It's not for Lori. It's not about Lori.
No.
It's
No.
about helping people in the future. It's about
Yeah.
honoring the kids, and that time and energy I'm happy to give. Like I don't give
Yeah.
her any energy.
I mean, I grieve her. I do.
Yeah, I do too.
You do, right? We
Yeah.
do. I think that's normal. I think it's okay. It doesn't make us it doesn't make us align with anybody, her or anyone else for that matter. I don't really I feel bad for I feel sorry for Chad for sure. I don't know him like that, I don't really know Lori like that. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it's just, Uncle Charles, like again, one of his last conversation with his baby brother, which is my Uncle Bobby, was Um, I wonder when Lori's gonna come down from this. And he really was worried about her,
Yeah.
whether it meant they were going to be together or not. And I've gone through relationships like that. I'm just like, I just want you to be fine. Everybody's fine. We don't have to be enemies or it doesn't have to be like that, It's you don't have to pick a side. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I think there's going to be a time when all the trials are over, when all the media coverage has died down, little by
Mhm.
little, I think the truth is going to start to creep into Lori's consciousness. And I
Would you
think
go visit
that,
her?
oh no,
Would you go visit her ever? I mean,
you know,
or
I think it
pen pal?
depends.
Or
I
you
think
know
it
what I'm saying?
depends. I think I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, if there's ever a little gap of sunlight anywhere in her, um, then yeah, I think I would have a conversation with her. But the trouble is, um,
Getting her there.
how do you know that's ever happened? Will she ever admit that to anyone but herself? Like I always talk about this space
Yeah.
between awake and asleep. Like that's the
Oh,
time
yeah.
of reckoning for all of us. And it's why so many people numb, because they're afraid of their own thoughts in that space.
Yeah.
When it's just you in the quiet,
It's
in the
scary.
dark. I don't care if you share a bed with somebody or not. When it's just
Mhm.
you in the quiet, in the dark, and you have nothing but your own thoughts,
Yeah.
that's the time when the real truth comes to you. And that's the time when you realize all of the things that you need to heal, to work on,
Yourself.
the mistakes
It
that you've made, the times where you were short or
introspection.
angry, or you did something to harm somebody else. Like it's that
Oh,
night, it's that time at night. And I think Lori's going to have some of that. But the question is, when she gets up the next morning, will she admit it? Will she ever
right.
say it to anybody? And I don't know the answer to that.
I don't feel like there's not even an like, and I'd have to know, when and if she ever did that. If she was ever real with herself, and
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the first step, I think, is just at acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And then you have to do all the work. And I
Yeah.
don't even know, everybody has their own, so to speak, demons, like
Of course. Yeah.
um but I mean, my brother, he's in prison, and his son was murdered
Yeah.
brutally by his aunt, Lori, and she also allegedly murdered his uncle, and um he's not bitter towards her.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see he's wanting to do, and I don't talk scriptures, but he does, and I listen because it's fulfilling to him, and it brings meaning to his life, whether he is where he is because of choice and a consequence. We all have it, accountability, and we all have to do that. Look in the mirror. uh
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't like what we see, and that's what has to change. When you're ready, you can't force anybody to do that.
Yeah.
Just know
Exactly.
that. I mean, just be there don't force anybody. That's my advice. My 2 cents for whatever it's worth is you can't tell a narcissist that they're a narcissist. That's not
Right.
gonna go. You can't tell somebody they're in a cult. You can't
Right.
tell somebody that they are, um,
In an
an
abusive relationship.
alcoholic or a drug addict. They
Yeah.
have to, like, do that for you. Now you can plant the seeds all the livelong day, but depending on, I think boundaries are very, very, very important. Very
Yep.
important, and you don't have to tell anybody. You just make your own damn boundaries.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
it's protective.
Yep.
But I wanna, like, in the future, I do wanna talk to you. I just realized this, that my daughter, she's like, "Mom, I'm scared to die." And I'm just like, "Oh, I used to be like that too." And she's like, "Well, what?" And I'm like, "Okay." So there's gotta be, I'll just kinda plant the seed, and then you can think about it, and then we'll talk later.
Yeah.
And
Happy.
maybe mine was just through Tylee, JJ, and Charles. Through this experience is how I was like, "Oh, this is life. This is meaning, this priorities," like all the things. But I don't ever want anybody to experience it on this level ever,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Of
Hopefully you
course.
just, stumble upon it in your own time. But anyways, all right. Well, I
Love you,
guess
girl.
I'm gonna go cook. Actually, it's late, but I'm gonna go cook.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I
One of
love
my commenters the other night, well, I guess it's been a long time ago now, somebody from New Zealand
Oh,
commented Kia kaha, which means stand strong. I think about that a
oh,
lot.
that's
So until I
beautiful.
see you again, Kia kaha, take care of yourself.
I'm thinking Melikiliki Maka. Anyways, but ditto. Bye, guys.
All
See y'all
right.
later.
Love y'all.
See you next time. Bye.